Want me on TV?
Watch us get slaughtered on TV by the Sun Run.
I know. Yeah, chip leader.
Alrighty. Hello, world. We are back. Today we are here at a $200 GAPT tournament. We're down to 59 players left. Money broke at 99. Started with 977 players. So these players are definitely playing for some real money. It's a $200 buy-in. There's 28,000 up top, so we expect some good poker here. These players have survived a massive field to be down to the top 60, but still going for the first place. See if they can't get some run good going and possibly make some serious money at the top of this run. So looks like the dealer's just getting some confirmation before we get into our first hand of the live stream once the money's broken in this day. I'll be back with y'all tomorrow to cover the final table. That will be a very interesting spot where the ICM pressure and the money jumps are very significant. But even now, none of these players want to go home yet. They want to definitely get a chance to be able to take home the gold, the great giant prize at the end of the rainbow. And it looks like we're getting a look at the players at the table.
Yeah, I would have had a huge stack at that point, but I'm not calling all in pre-flop ace-5.
Dealer's getting some confirmation before we start getting cards in the air.
Yeah, that's the clock over there. Yeah, everyone stop.
Again, my name is Kyle Fischel. I will be your commentator. I'm a YouTuber and poker player across Central and Southwest Florida. So any questions or comments in the comment section, I'll be able to read and get back to you. Anyone want to just talk or whatever, I'm here for you. It's going to be a great session for these players.
Play 3 hours here?
We're playing through the 6:40 dinner break here.
Through it?
Well, till it. And then once we're done with the dinner break, we're done straight into the day.
Okay. And then anybody, they can just go on, like my dad can go on
So when
Facebook
they
Live
move
and
people off this table to go
watch
back?
Facebook,
So when they move people
Facebook,
off, when
YouTube,
they move
Twitch,
people off this
just
table to
take
go
on
back
the
there?
Tracing Card Club. And they're gonna rate me there.
But you don't
That's
go
fine.
back
As long
unless
as
you
survive.
They probably won't balance people off of this table.
Okay. Okay.
this table will stay full.
Oh, I wish I
So
We lose players if we are within 2. It will not move players in. And
looks like cards are going to get in the air very shortly.
Okay.
Still, again, I'm Kyle Fischel. Stacks right now, looks like the biggest stack at the table has 450,000 short, and that would be John C in seat 4. The shortest stack is going to be Kelly B in seat 7 with 128,000. So all these players between 100 and 400,000, they're all pretty even. Not too many outliers. A lot of 200,000 stacks, a few 120, 180. So they're going to be definitely looking to get a double up or maybe just crawl into some pay jumps because that'll definitely be significant as the tournament progresses.
I knew it was a tournament.
So it's like dealers just getting the second deck out of the way, and we're going to get right into some action very shortly.
Everything else is Taurus.
Feel free to drop a comment, ask a question, tell me where you're watching from, why you're viewing in. You know, gonna try to get a very interactive stream going. And it looks like the players are finally all taking their seats and getting closer to cards in the air.
There is table audio?
yes, and these 2 microphones right here are the table audio.
Don't be crazy.
We're currently 5, 10, and 10.
One of the floor managers just double checking everything, making sure everything's going good with the stream, and looks like we are cards in the air now. First hand of the featured table. Blinds are 5,000 10K with a 10K big blind ante, so shortest stack with 12 big blinds, but that's plenty to work with. You don't have to get into a panic mode yet. Largest stack with 450,000, so 45 big blinds. Very comfortable, that player, John C in seat 4. I appreciate Paul for his comments saying Kyle is the donkey. I agree. It's true. So we start out with an under the gun raise to 40,000 with ace 5 offsuit.
At least we get to see what he had later.
This is kind of risky with Rex being so short stacked, but it's a final table. He's definitely gonna try to put people in awkward positions. You know, there's extra pressure of busting on stream when you've made the money. People definitely don't want to go out this way, especially when there's 28,000 up top for first place. Everyone's gonna be looking to get that, and we're already onto the second hand of the streamed featured table. This one we're gonna see +1 open with a king 10 offsuit. Off a 270,000 stack, he's a little bit more comfortable. Paul C can definitely widen a bit, put some pressure on these players, especially when he only has to get through 3 or 4 other hands. They're playing somewhat short-handed, only 7 players at this featured table right now. So far it folds all the way to the big blind with Rex. He's actually got what appears to be 1.3 million chips, so very large amount of big blinds. He can happily defend with a wide range of hands. 6-3 is going to be one of them, and he does flop the best hand on Jack 9-6. But when Paul C puts in a continuation bet, it's going to be tough for a small pair to be able to hold on. I mean, Paul C has all like ace jack over pairs, but he does have like ace king, ace queen in range. Rex is not going to think that his third pair is good enough to be able to continue. He's just going to let this one go. I do like defending the big blind with hands like that. You can flop very good and be able to really stack opponents when you get like a weird 2 pair, weird 3 of a kind, things such as that.
Is there someone
Using like a
commentary?
subcontractor.
Is there someone commentary?
A sub. Yeah, I'm sure there is.
So players definitely feeling each other out right now. On stream, possibly just trying to survive to the dinner break and the final table. They've already broken the money. The money was broken at 99 players. We're at just under 60 at this point, so only a few tables left in the field before we get to the final table with the real money and real ICM pressure. Kelly has a very pretty one in the +2 spot. King Queen offsuit. On 12 big blinds, it's reasonable to just open jam, but a small open, I think you have plenty of playability with 10 big blinds left to act as well. She chooses to raise slightly above 3x, but she's going to run into it as Eric S picks up a premium, and he's got a 15 big blind stack with ace king. But he's going to just call, not trying to risk his entire tournament life on this hand. He does get to play with position, so that could lead to some calls. I like a jam here. You can fold out all the equity like king queen suited and, you know, king jack, jack 10, all kinds of stuff, and you'll probably just have the best hand most of the time or flipping at worst. So ace king's probably a good jam, but when you just call, you run the risk of running a 10 high board and not quite knowing where you're at. The table itself is filled up. 2 other players have joined, so now I believe we are playing a full 9-handed.
Yeah.
Kelly's going to continuation bet, and she's going to continuation bet jam. And that now ace king is in a gross spot. Calling with ace high does not feel good here. Like, you should never really expect your opponent to just bluff jam at this pot. Kelly has a good candidate for it as she's got some running straight, running flush cards, over cards. She blocks kings and queens. She has a good hand to do this with, and when your opponent just calls, he's kind of relegated to less premium of holdings. So this jam's gonna work out great for Kelly. She wins 31,000 from the bet that was called by the big by the button as well as the blinds and antes. So her stack jumps to 180k, was 120 at the beginning of that stack. So at this final table, she has raised 56,000 in her stack from that one hand. This is going pretty well for Kelly B. All right, moving on to the next hand. This time I suspect a fold from the 10-7. Ace-10 off, pretty good hand. We are a full 9-handed table now, so +2 is very early position. You could theoretically even fold this, but John W is going to put in a raise. Again, massive ICM pressures. Every decision's going to have a lot of real money value at stake as we're down to under 60 players in the tournament. And it folds all the way to Paul C, who picks up an ace-jack offsuit. With a 315k stack, I think jamming's a little too ambitious, although you are only 34 effective, so it's not unreasonable. I think a jam, though, is mostly a bluff. A call is pretty face-up of a decent hand, but not fantastic. He's going to call, hope to get some connection. Maybe steal the pot on later streets if neither player shows interest. But on a 10-high board, John W is going to be very happy to see that. Yeah, flopping top feels great. You can get value from flush draws. The exact hand Paul has, like an ace-queen, ace-jack hand. And when he throws out a continuation bet of 50,000, that is going to get the job done. So, very nice hand for Mr. John W. Played it very well. I like c-betting there. You don't want to give your opponent free cards at tournament this late because you're going to have a lot of bluffs here. You're going to have ace-kings, ace-queens, things such as that don't connect. So when you make top pair, top kicker, you definitely have to throw in that continuation bet and take it down.
Never back to your mistakes.
Nice camera action.
So now we're on to the next hand. 10-9 offsuit. I'd say a very nice hand in a cash game, but a tournament you really want to stick to a little bit tighter premiums, such as pocket kings. +3 slam dunk raise spot. And John C has slightly playable here. He's got pocket fives on the button. Very nice hand to go set mining with. You either flop a 5 and continue, or you just whiff and kind of give up and pretty much play your hand just like that. But with a call, ace-jack is a good spot to squeeze. A lot of action out there. He's not going to. And we're getting what could be a massive cooler. Kings into queens, deep into a tournament. Yeah, pocket queens all in off 20 big blinds. That's going to be a pretty easy snap call by pocket kings. And it is a tournament, so running it once, see which hand holds. Nine, nine, deuce. Pretty safe board for kings. No backdoor possibilities available. 4, another safe card for the kings. And kings will get a full double up and then some with the blinds and the antes and the overcall from the fives. That's going to help Eric S's stack going up to 330k.
Good hand, good hand. We're due. We're just waiting patiently all
Very,
day.
very, very patient.
Sorry, 303k, 30 big blinds.
You gotta make it through.
But either way, yeah, there's a smile on his face. That feels great, and deep in a tournament, getting a full double up. Feels like new life has been breathed into you. You're going on a deep run now.
I almost folded my fives because I see how much you made it and what you had left. But then I thought, well, you'll set my win if I did.
Now we're on to the next hand of this featured table at the Daytona Beach Poker Tournament. $200 buy-in, 28,000 up top. Great American Poker Tour. We had 977 entrances. We're down to under 60, so these players have been battling for almost 2 full days. They're trying to reach the final table, get the real money up top. And $200 into 28k is an incredible return on investment. Means that these tournaments that are really big don't have to invest a whole lot to make some massive returns. Paul C gonna open the button with 5-3. It's a fine open on the button. You only have to get through 2 hands, but it's not gonna work this time as Kelly wakes up with an ace-king suited. Gonna see if she chooses to just call or 3-bet. I prefer to 3-bet. You could even just get it in there, fold out all the random equity against you, or get it all in with a likely dominated position where you're going to likely win this hand with all your chips in the middle. She does choose to rip her stack all in. I like that. I don't really want to play ace-king out of position when it's suited. Also, you kind of send a message to the button. You know, you set the precedent that you will jam on button opens, which could disincentivize him from opening like 5-3 offsuit in the future. So I definitely like the jam there for multiple reasons. And Kelly's having a great featured table. She's up 86,000 from the start. Her current stack is 214,000, came in with 120, so she's definitely battling and staying in it.
Is there some guy drinks or no? No drinks? Is that just it? I have to tell you more. You can have them, but just not on the table.
And Eric wakes up with pocket aces. That is the nuts pre-flop in this Texas Hold'em game. He's going to raise to 35k, a little bigger than some of the other players. We've seen some 25k opens. We've seen some 31k opens. But he's going to go up for a little bit bigger, trying to put a little more protection for his aces, I assume. He gets a king-jack to fold, which is reasonable. I mean, this is an under the gun +1 open. You have to give him credit for a tighter range. Cutoff's going to try to set mine with pocket 5s. The button wakes up with 3s, but he is not going to go for the set mine. Small blind has deuces. Do they want to mine for a set? Nope, they're going to pass as well. And 6-4 is also going to get out of the way. So 5s against aces. 95k in the middle. We're at 10k, 5k with a 10k big blind ante. So this is somewhat decent pot. 9.5 bigs.
That's 35,000.
Relatively safe board for pocket aces. You hope your raise got hands such as, you know, 8-9 suited and 6-7 suited out of there, but it is possible to get value from like Jack 10s, Queen 10s, and it does appear that Paul's thinking about making a move. He has pocket 5, so he could just as easily have pocket 6s or 7s. And he is going to take a move at a bad time. He's going to, looks like Looks like he raised slightly, raised to 80,000, and then gets snap jammed on by the aces. So I like the spot. He's trying to rep a flopped set, just happened to not have it this time, and was against an opponent that is just absolutely not going to fold aces, especially on a board that's that safe.
You'll see it live.
See it on a replay.
So Eric S. is now the biggest winner since the feature table has started. He's up 250,000 since the table started. He got kings into queens and now aces into fives. Definitely running good with the seat, but also playing his hands correctly. So he's up to 440,000 in his stack, and with 10k big blinds, that is very comfortable. Now we got some folds all the way to the hijack with a jack 7 suited. Go either way with this. If you think the blinds are going to overfold, it's a fine open. He does choose to bump it up. Paul C definitely being very aggressive at this featured table, playing most of his hands. He's sporting a 57% VPIP, which is massive at a final table. We are only 8 hands in, but still playing pretty much every other hand is gonna be noted by all his opponents as we move forward. King 10 offsuit, I'd say, is a pretty standard defend. Only 15k to defend your big blind, which is already 10k. And Roy is going to agree with me. He's gonna try to take this one to a flop, which comes king high, but there's an ace behind it. Can't be too comfortable with king 10. Paul picked up the jack high club draw. He can also rep all the best aces and kings, but he's going to check it back, try to realize some equity, which he makes immediately. Jack high flush. Does Roy feel comfortable with the 10 of clubs blocker? Appears that he does. Puts out a little value / block bet, trying to get closer to showdown, I assume, or hoping his opponent just missed completely and is giving up. You don't really expect your opponent to not bet an ace or a king or even a club draw when it's checked to them and they're the pre-flop aggressor. So
Players over.
Yeah, count.
Roy's gonna get some bad news as he is jammed on. I mean, Paul C's been very aggressive. We've seen him raise with just a pair of fives and fold. Obviously, the players didn't see he had a pair of fives, but they did see that he has some raise folds in his range. So he doesn't have to have the most premium of hands here. He happens to have a jack high flush, which I personally would prefer just a call there and hope your opponent bets river. Otherwise, you can just bet river yourself as you have position. But he's going to go for the jam here. It's only 92k to call, and the pot's 207, so Roy, I believe, deciding if his 10 high clubs will be live if he decides to call. I think your opponent could be doing this with like queen jack, just queen of clubs. And it does look like Roy made the call, which is going to be bad news for him as he's actually drawing dead. The river is technically meaningless, yet the club did come as well, so Roy does make a flush to the 10, but jack high flush is definitely going to be good.
Just got lucky. Raised it, but
Now Paul C up to 300,000 in his stack after this hand.
Especially after you just took that lot of
He started this featured table with 295, so he's had a bit of a roller coaster. He's up 4,000 since this featured table has started.
For the most part, can attest to that.
that was probably a little bit of tilt going on there.
And that's going to lead to a lot of confidence and a lot of momentum moving forward, especially if he's been this aggressive, makes a big hand, gets a double up. He's going to feel pretty good about that one.
Right, exactly. That's definitely happened before.
Now we got a Jack 10 suited. It's very early, but Rex has been somewhat quiet. He also has a massive stack.
Raise 40,000.
He's sitting on 1.3 million, biggest stack at the table, so this is a pretty easy open from the massive stack. He makes it 40k, goes for a 4x, really big sizing, early position, biggest sizing we've seen so far for an open. But he's got the stack to do it with, gets 7s to fold, that's a pretty good result.
Set folds. 8 folds.
John does not choose to set mine with his pocket 3s. Like that fold when the open comes from such an early position. Ace 4, this should probably be a jam or fold, especially with 114k in your stack. I like the fold. Your opponent has better aces a lot of the time and better pocket pairs where at best you're thinking you have a 40% or 30% equity most of the time. And Jack 10 suited is going to get the blinds at ante, which equates to 25k. Every pickup like that is significant this deep in the tournament, as players are as short as 10 to 12 big blinds a lot of the time, so it's good to take all the chips when you can.
Gotta ask, right? You don't have to say. You don't have to say.
Don't hurt to ask.
Of course. You don't ask, you don't get.
Now we got an ace jack offsuit under the gun. Rex again with a very big stack. Does he want to open 2 hands in a row though? Just thinking about it.
It doesn't take very long for you to get the cards to see what.
Should be really good.
It's very.
Good,
It's,
yeah. I just want.
It's insane.
He does have to consider that he has 9 players he has to go through, but ace jack offsuit is a very strong hand. He's going to open up to 40k again. The +1 with a very good-looking king queen suited. I'd say 3-betting is a little bit adventurous when you're facing an under-the-gun open, but a call is definitely very reasonable.
7 folds.
Get a few folds. Kelly with a suited jack. She's going to let it go. John W with a suited king. He sees under the gun +1 with interest. He's gonna let it go. And now on the dealer button with just 100k, that's kind of difficult with an ace 10. There's already 105 in the middle. He is gonna decide to rip that in. In his mind, there's a lot of dead money out there. If you get 2 folds, you literally double your stack without needing to see a flop. But when called, you think you have a pretty decent amount of equity. I assume Rex is going to call. It's only 74k. He's got an ace jack. He could even back raise and try to get the king queen out of there and get to a heads up for the run out. Does look like he's counting out raising chips, try to isolate the ace 10, which would be a great spot for him as he'll have a 70% edge over it.
Raise. 10 folds.
He does go for the raise, I believe. I believe the blue chips are 25k a piece.
I want mine back. King, queen, spades.
And it does look like there was a raise and the king queen folds. So 2 players all in pre, ace jack versus ace 10. King high board, king queen would have been a very much in the lead right now. 10 gets some opportunities to get there with a 7 now, but it will not be ace jack beats ace 10, and we have an elimination at this final table.
I'm staying away
Good game, Roy. You still
I'm staying away from him.
Yeah, you can't lose.
Still, he made the money. We are pretty much halfway through the money bubble bursting. We are looking to see if we can get the clock and the money to appear right now. Like, management is working on that, so we will get his payout and his plays to you as soon as that comes through. But I'm sure they're going to be also working on getting a player to fill that seat. First elimination at this feature table. But the poker must go on. So now we're 8-handed. Every elimination gets you closer to the final table and the 28,000 up top, so as players see how easy it is to 1 or 2 bad hands and you're heading to the exit, so they definitely want to play a little bit cautious, a little bit conservative, but also pick their spots well and get the money in when they need to. Here we see a limped blind on blind. 9-7 versus 6-4. Both flop a pair. Rex should feel pretty good about his top pair plus gut shot straight draw, especially versus a limp. I mean, technically he has the small blind limper has pretty much any 2 cards. He could have 5-6, but you can't be afraid of that stuff. But 6-4 is going to go for the check jam for 208,000. Now Rex has 163 to call. He does have a gut shot, which he should assume will be live all the time. Probably thinking, does his opponent ever do this with less than 6-5? Does he ever do this with ace-6? I guess the exact hand he has of like 6-4. Does he ever do this with 3-4? 7-8 would be disastrous for Rex to run into, but would your opponent jam with that or just check call you down? Probably what he's thinking. Wondering if his 9 is the best hand, because his opponent could actually do this with 9-10 some of the time, I think, as well as ace-9. 8-9 would also be beating you and put you in pretty bad shape. There are no flush draws on the board, so you're blocking the nuts of 7-8. You also have a massive chip stack, so this is just going to be a call. Rex has 1.2 million, so an extra 160,000 isn't going to impact him that much if it goes the other way. And now we're going to see the run out. Ace on the turn doesn't help either player.
Yeah, seriously.
And the jack is going to secure it for the 9-7. Rex also having a very good featured table. He's up over 400,000 since the beginning of this final table, featured table, which was 11 hands ago. So he is cruising right now. Also with a 45% VPIP, he's not hiding. He's playing many hands, but he's just getting it done when he needs to. And that is 2 eliminations so far this featured table. So hopefully we get some new players in here pretty quickly. And see if these players adjust their play now that we're sitting only 7-handed. See if they widen it a bit or wait for more players to come in. Ace Jack under the gun, a little bit better when you're 7-handed. 9-handed, it's a little bit dicier as there's 2 more players that can wake up with a hand behind. But Paul C is going to open the Ace Jack. He makes it 3x, 30,000. John W, pretty good hand. Pocket 10s. 20 big blinds, facing an open.
I have a fold at a turn.
It's like he's deciding if he wants to call or raise, rip it all in. See the runouts. He's watched some players hit the rail pretty quickly, so see if he's feeling adventurous. Paul has played a lot of hands, so maybe taking that into account, but it looks like he chose to just call the 30,000. Gets to play in position, navigate post-flop. gets a board that keeps the 10s in the lead. It is checked to him.
That's 30,000.
You doubt your opponent would check with a queen here. I think they would bet, try to get protection against the flush draw, against random 6-7s and ace 3s and things such as that. So when Paul checks the flop, John W is going to feel pretty good about just betting his pair of 10s, and he takes it down. So he gets a good 55,000 extra to his stack. John W up to 250,000 in chips. That is 78,000 more than he started the feature table with.
Sure, no problem. Yes, no problem. My bad. No, I did it too.
So I had to tell.
Looks like the floor is speaking to the players about something before we get into the next hand.
Thank you.
The gun folds his hand, +1. Kelly looking at her cards. She's going to let them go. John W just one a hand, doesn't feel like trying to get 2 in a row. Eric S with the cutoff with ace-10. Very good hand when you're in the cutoff. Only 3 players to get through to take the blinds at antes, which will be 25k. He raised to 42. Seems as though these players are sizing up a little bit. Eric S raises to 35k when he had aces, now 42 with ace-10. Possible the players are picking up on the changes in raise sizing, but he takes it down, so it works out well for him on this one. Wins 25k uncontested. Every blind matters when we're this deep into a tournament. Jack 5 suited, probably not strong enough to play. Rex wakes up with pocket jacks. He's got the biggest stack. He's got a very good hand here from the cutoff. I think a hand this strong has to go smaller, under 30k. You want the big blind, small blind, or the button to be able to peel with a wider range. But he looks like he's going to go 50,000. Likely just going to take it down. 7 deuce. I'm never really going to fight back. But it looks like the small blind has woken up with something. We get the graphic. Oh, he woke up with aces. Gets a min 3 bet to 100k too. Oh, that's just devastating. Rex pretty much has to call. He could even just get it in right now with jacks. Versing only a 300k stack, or 250k stack, and you have 1.6 million. Paul C has been one of the most aggressive players at the table, and Rex probably picking up on this. He might just get it all in pre. He's been running pretty good on his all-ins, but he's going to choose to see a flop. Gets to play it in position versus a 3-better. King high might save him. His opponent could have ace-king a lot of the time. And Paul C is just going to rip it all in. Rex just calling instead of raising himself. May be able to get away from this one. Save himself 150k. His opponent can easily have ace-king here. King-queen a little bit less likely. Pocket kings probably doesn't rip like this, but ace-king is definitely possible. I'm sure Paul C is hoping his opponent has ace-king. He's hoping Rex has the ace-king. It's just going to call him off and pay him with his aces, but he's slightly less strong than that. Jackson kind of a difficult spot. 149k to win 369k. It's hard to get strong hands this deep into a tournament, but I think Paul C's line just looks like ace king at worst a lot of the time, with the min 3-bet just jam on the king high board.
Wow, nice hand.
And Rex does a very good disciplined fold. He folds face up, and or did he call? Oh, it looks like he called, and we're gonna see a run out.
Nice hand, sir.
Jacks do not suck out against the aces. The aces get a full double up. 260,000. Paul C up to over $500,000 in his stack.
Can't win them all.
Paul C up 223,000 since this feature table has started. Played aces very well. 3 bets pre-flop. Gets it all in on the flop on a very safe board for aces and gets paid. So gonna add some confidence, gonna help get some momentum and see how Rex bounces back. He's been cruising up to this point. His stack did just take a hit. He's still sitting at over 1.2 million though, so he's still by far the chip leader at this feature table. We got a new player in the 9 seat. That is Doug M. He's sitting with 240,000. Another 24 big blind stack. Most players are about 20 to 30 big blinds, besides Rec, who has over 100. Doug takes a moment before folding his Jack 10. Jack 4 not going to play. Rex in later position with a suited Jack 9. He's going to keep the aggression up. He's playing a 42% VPIP, but he has the chip stack to be able to bully people around. He's going to get the button to fold. Small blind has queen 10 off suit. We got a let's go Doug in the chat, so let's go Doug.
Yes. We'll have a new viewer coming in.
And I suspect Rex is... No, Kelly's going to defend the 6-5 off. It's only 15k more, and you do have the big blind ante in play, so 15 to win 60. Definitely reasonable. When you flop a pair of 6s, fortunately for Kelly, she's versing a pair of 9s. Rex does have some showdown value. He can have some checkbacks here. He also could just barrel and hope to get any weaker hand to fold all the equity that they have. He's gonna bet. He does have the best queens in range. He's open Jack 10. He could easily have that. He could have ace queen, king queen. And he has like Jack 9. He even could have 7-8 at some frequency with an open-ended. So he's got a wide range. But a small continuation bet gets the pair of 6s to fold. So Rex continues to use his big stack to move in the right direction. We got a second comment of, come on, Doug. So we got some Doug fans in the chat. See if Doug can make his supporters proud. I'll certainly root for him with all this chat support. And he does. He hears the calls of his fans and peels a beautiful ace queen of hearts. And waiting for the graphics to catch up slightly, where we see that Doug has raised to 26,000, 1,000 above the 2.5x raise. Gonna fold all the way to Kelly, who's got a ace queen offsuit. She's only got 16 big blinds. She could theoretically rip this, in which case Doug's doing pretty good to somewhat free roll hearts, but we've seen some four flush boards that go the other way as well. Kelly's going to just call. Playing this out of position is going to be difficult. I expect Doug to c-bet a lot of boards, whether he connects or doesn't, which is going to put Kelly in a weird spot. But Kelly with the queen of diamonds. No hearts on board. Doug does continuation bet, as I expected. He has aces, ace-king, kings, all that in range. Kelly's got backdoor diamonds, as well as some straight possibilities. But we did just see her fold pocket sixes to just a standard c-bet, so... She calls the 27,000, leaving herself only 121 behind. If you're Doug, I assume you're assuming she has a small piece of this board. And when both players brick this turn card, is Doug going to continue or shut it down? He's a little bit confused, deciding if he thinks that Kelly has a 10 or a weak 9 that will fold, but he checks it back. Deuce of spades. Kelly has the nut blocker. The door is open for her to steal this pot. And all in likely wins this hand. But she bets a value heavy size. She bets 75,000. And now if you're Doug, you're just in a gross spot. Her hand just looks like a pair of 10s or a pair of 9s. She's bet over half of her stack. You assume that a jam as a bluff just isn't going to work. She's just going to call off. So Kelly plays this hand phenomenally. Gets the win from a out of position playing the exact same hand as her opponent. So congrats to Kelly on that one. She's up 119,000 since the start of this featured table. Doug, his first hand at the table, did not go quite the way he was hoping. Down 50,000 from this start. But he still has 18 big blinds, 187,000. Plenty of wiggle room at 10k big blinds. No need to panic just yet. We gotta go, Paul C. Your family is watching from Florida. I believe that's Navar? I thought I was very good at all the Florida cities. I have never heard of that city before. Anyone wants to type the pronunciation of that in the chat, go ahead. But Paul C., your family is watching. They are supporting you. Hope to see you do a good run on this final table. And he does. He raises the hijack with a 7-6 suited. Very pretty hand. Pretty good for a raise. Doug M just lost a decent size portion of his stack on the last hand with King Queen suited. He's going to let the Queen 6 off go. Playing it out of position be very difficult. And we got a comment. It's Navarre. So like Navarre, maybe I'm saying that right. We also got a Lexico Rex. Everyone's fans are in the chat supporting their friends, colleagues, peers. Got a lull in my pronunciation of the Florida city. So Navarre, Florida. We're gonna go with that. That's where Paul C's family's supporting him from. Thank you, chat, for helping me out with that one. And Paul C heard your support as he picks up pocket 7s. He's in somewhat early position, but 7s is very strong. Definitely worthy of an open. Raised to 35,000. Opening sizes are fluctuating between 25 all the way up to 45 and even 50,000. So kind of interesting. You can start to pick things apart on the sizes people are using and what they mean, but they're kind of all over the place. So Doug M with a Jack 10 offsuit. He's going to be in the small blind. He's already invested 5k. He's going to be playing it out of position if he continues. He's going to let it go. King 8, another hand that's not really going to play all that well. If the board is king high, you never really know if you're dominated. If it's 8 high, I mean, your opponent has all the overpairs in range. Just a tough hand to play. I think it's better to just let that one go. And Paul C takes down 25k uncontested. Hey Kyle, you're doing a good job. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. Yes, I am Kyle Fischel, YouTube vlogger, poker player, doing the commentating for the world today. Hope to give some perspective analysis, maybe some entertainment value to anyone who decides to tune into this $200 tournament, featured table, under 60 players left, started as a field of 977. So these players have battled for 2 days. There's 28,000 up top. Everyone's gunning for it. Paul C is going to look to get it with a open with king jacks suited. Runs into an ace 4 of spades, which is going to just jam for 56,000.
In that big room, the heck goes out.
Of course. Yeah. We got the short ceilings down here.
Sergi, I assume, is a new player, just entered the table. He comes in pretty short stacked. Haven't seen him play a hand yet. Might have just been whittled down from the blinds and antes. But a suited ace is going to be enough for him to try to double up or just win the blinds and antes to get his stack up to reasonable.
Go.
Does not see that.
I have action, all in, fold all around, peace train, call at 12.
I didn't realize. I did not see the all in. I just called.
Eric S. getting a little bit of a confusion here.
I was just looking there. I did not look one over.
See what they rule his action to be.
I only threw in 12. I was small blind. I only threw in the 6.
All the other players standing.
The option to, you're going to forfeit, you're in for 12. Yeah, the option to complete the bet, or you're going to forfeit the 12.
Bob, you are right, sir. He needed to find a spot and fast. So far, he's gotten his money in with what looks like the best hand so far. We still have some blinds, a big blind that could have a sneaky hand, but he's all in. If the chips are right, it says 56,000. Eric S. looks like he called mistakenly for 51. Rex is definitely not going to fold queens. He's going to choose to just call. Definitely looks like he wants Paul C in there as well. But Paul's going to give it up, smartly so, and queens is going to be a 70-ish% favorite against ace 4 suited. We saw the king and jack of spades folded. That's not great for the ace 4, but all the aces seem to still be alive, so let's see if he can find one. Queen in the window, that is pretty dead for ace 4. Yep. And a flush will be meaningless as queens have a full house already. Gets an ace on the river. Somewhat of a needle, but Rex continues to run over this featured table. Up to 1.5 million in his stack. He's busted 2 players since the start of this featured table. Came into it with about 1.2 million, so he's up 250,000. Queens into ace 4 is going to take a decent sized pot there. Unfortunately for Sergey, came in, found a spot that was actually pretty good, just unfortunate that the big blind happened to wake up with queens. If you get it all in against king jack, you just scoop there and double up. Just unlucky the big blind had a hand. Good game, Sergey. 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 I want to pronounce your name right. Sorry about that. And now we're moving on to the next hand. We're 19 hands into this featured table. We've seen probably 4 or 5 bust outs so far. Players are cycling in. The field's getting lower. Hope to get some exact numbers on how many players are left shortly. Looks like we're going to fold all the way to the small blind, who opens 6-7. And they're just going to take down the blinds ante, which will be 20k, big blind plus big blind ante of 10k. That's going to be a good win anytime you can take them down. And Rex, yeah, definitely a massive chip leader, 1.6 million. Next closest, 500,000. So he's definitely in the driver's seat. He gets to push the action, be wider than everyone else, try to bully them out of their blinds and antes, and kind of just whittle them down. And when people have jammed, he's woken up with it, so he's likely going to be able to continue to run well at this final table with his chip stack in position. So, get a cutoff with a Jack 8 offsuit. Say it's a little too wide with a 115k stack. Definitely want to pick a little better spot than that one to get it in. Rex raises to a big sizing with ace 5 suited. 8x the big blind, but he has the stack. He can just bully people around and win 25k at a time until people want to fight back. So definitely using his chip stack to his advantage. He extends his lead over the opponents at this featured table. Again, we started this day this stream with 60 players left. We've seen 5 or 6 bust out of the featured table, but they're being cycled in. Looking to get you the exact number of players remaining right now. But I have word those numbers are coming to keep you all informed exactly what's going on in the action. Eric S looks down a nice ace king. He's pretty comfortable, 400,000 stack. Raises to 42, 4.2x the open. Players definitely opening pretty wide. And Paul C has pocket queens. This could be an all-in spot. We've seen Paul min 3-bet with aces. See if he 3-bets to a different sizing or even at all with queens. I recommend 3-betting with queens. Possibly could get it in here. However, these players are deeper than a lot of other players at the table. There is ICM implications. You don't want to bust when there's a lot shorter stacks around you that can give you some pay jumps. And Paul C is going to raise to 131,000. 20% of his stack. Ace King only 400,000. This is definitely getting into an all-in situation where player could get busted, and Ace King is gonna go with it. All of his chips are in the middle. Queens, not the easiest spot. Okay. Looks like we are down to 45 players left, so the next payout is $527. It's a $200 buy-in, so after 2 days, definitely a nice to win some money, but I'm sure these players would prefer the 28,000 up top, as well as 17,000 for second, 13,000 for third. Like, for a $200 buy-in, that's a crazy return on investment, but Ace King is gonna rip. Queens are to the test. He knows that his opponent could have aces, could have kings, but he is gonna go with it. And we are at a classic flip for a massive amount of chips at this feature table. Queens survive the first 3 cards on the flop. And gets a very good turn card. Cuts some of the outs of the ace king away. And rivers are straight. Queens are going to get a full double up. Paul C entered the final table with only this feature table with only 240,000. He's up to 970,000. He felt a player. Eric S is going to walk away with $527. Not quite the result you're hoping for as you run this deep in a tournament, which started with 977 players, but in poker tournaments, you have to win flips to be able to go deep. And there we go. We get to see the tournament counter on the screen shortly. 43 players are left. The next pay jump will be at 37. The 36th place finisher will get $672. So, or 500. It's actually 592. So, $65 increase. Remember, this was only a $200 buy-in, so for there to be 28,000 up top is massive. Players are getting very close to some real money. 9th place, first person eliminated at the final table will be 2.7K. That's pretty nearly a 14x increase on your investment, so definitely getting into some serious money and serious implications for each hand. And the chat is saying yes. Way to go, Paul C. So, Mr. Paul, you have some fans out there. I'm very happy to see you get that double up. Or just win with the Queens versus Ace King. Congratulations, sir. And we are 23 hands into this featured table. Some of these players will get to watch this back and see their opponents at the final table, as there's 43 players left, so very likely some of these players will be playing for the massive amount of money at the end. Rex trying to get there with the pocket nines. He's been opening a lot of hands, has the stack to bully people, as I've said. Nines is easily going to be an open. Queen Jack suited from the hijack, also a relatively strong hand. I like just calling. I think 3-betting that's a little too ambitious. King Queen offsuit from the button. Somewhat difficult spot. Only 22 big blinds in Kelly's stack. She has a few options. Looks like she's going to call as well. She gets to play in position. Doesn't have to risk her entire stack with King Queen. She can try to connect. Gives John some great odds to try to set mine with threes. Doug M has really good odds. Has a not premium hand, but he's going to just check. Looks like this is a limped pot. 60,000 up for grabs 5 ways. And Rex gets a 9, so he's going to take a commanding lead. John with top pair, decent kicker. He's going to be in pretty dicey shape. There is a club draw out there to be worried about. Rex, I would say, is definitely going to bet here. You don't want clubs to get to name their own price or see a turn card for free. There are some 10 jacks in people's ranges. Random queens can pay you off. Kelly also having a queen. It's going to be interesting to see if Rex bets and John calls, if Kelly can just get away from top pair good kicker. But with a 60,000 chip pot, Rex makes it 150K. I'm not sure if the stacks are right. That would be 2.5x pot bet with a set, which if you're going for max protection against a flush is fine. John C is going to rip it all in, so this pot's getting really big. Kelly's in a very weird spot here with top pair good kicker. But I think with 2 players showing a lot of interest in the hand, this king queen kind of shrivels up. You're versing an all in and a 150 open. I mean, the thought you're going through your head right now is, Could one player be on a draw and one player have Queen Jack, or you're ahead of both of them? But I think it's hard to believe that both players have weaker hands. And Rex is just gonna snap call this. He's got a set. Set's way too good to fold. Happily put it in there.
Oh my god.
Still gonna take his time though. There's some real money on the line.
Running for a straight.
And he's gonna see some very good news as he's sporting a 95% favorite.
Queen or a jack?
John C. Just not a great spot. You're patient, you wait all day, you get a top pair, you run into a set. You turn 2 pair, you have a chance.
Oh my god.
See if he can fill up on the river.
I had the king. Oh my god, I got this.
No.
Oh my god.
And the king queen would have been best, making a straight, but that is a very rare run out. It's much better to fold there, and nines is the favorite by far. But Rex knocks out another player. He's got 1.9 million in his stack, almost at the 2 million chip mark. Leading this feature table by far. We've busted another player. That means 42 players left at most.
Oh my god, I should have called you. Oh my god.
Player eliminated will net $527. It's always fun to make some money on a tournament, but it's much better to make a final table, get the real money. But either way, it is tough to cash in tournaments, so congratulations to making the money. I've seen Rex open a Jack 10 suited previously, so I assume he's going to open it again. The table's currently sitting 6-handed as we gather more players to break some tables and gather more people to the featured table. More chips for Rex to eat up as he accumulates them all in that corner of the room. He does open the Jack 10 again. This time he waiting for the graphic to catch up. No, he just limps. He's limping sometimes, he's raising sometimes. Limping 9 seems to work out for him. He got a full stacking a player. Massive win on that one. It does invite the 10-5 along and the 8-9 suited as well. And Jack 10 is pretty good on that board. 9 for a gut shot, backdoor diamonds. Chris M's just going to lead out with second pair and a backdoor straight draw. Does have the best hand right now. He only has 100k in his stack, so he's risking almost 20% of his stack on this one hand so far. Only 83k behind. A 4 is pretty safe. If you thought your 8 was good, it should still be good. But he's going to check. He's going to try to get the showdown as cheaply as possible. Rex going to put max pressure, put them all in, or just about. I believe he bet 80,000.
If that guy don't shove before me, I call.
And beautiful play by Rex. Gets the better pair of 8s to fold. As he's drawing to just a gut shot, but also some pairs that are live, but he doesn't know that. Gets middle pair to fold. Rex is continuing to raise his chip lead. And by him limping, he actually gets to rep a lot of those hands. He could have 7-8 suited. He could have just Queen 10, Queen 9, random hands like that. He could have better 8s. He could have 8-10. Like, he limped, he has the stack to do it with, so he kind of gets to just represent a really wide range and play loose aggressive against players that are really trying to survive and make some pay jumps. We got a Go John C and Doug from Doug's for Freedom on Twitch. Thanks for giving your friends the support they would like. I'm sure it means a lot to them to watch us back and see their people were watching them and, you know, giving them some support, some good wishes, probably some lucky vibes their way. Alright, we are back. Bit of a laggingness for some reason, but hopefully that's not impacting anyone on your end. Bit laggy, but we see a bunch of folds. Doug M on the dealer button with 5 deuce. That one is definitely a little bit weak, but we get an all-in queen 6 versus 8-4. Yep, just a random queen X and even king X, small blind to big blind. We are that short stacked. It's definitely a very plus expected value jam. So Chris M doing a very good and correct knowledge-wise jam with the queen 6 offsuit. You know, his opponent has 8-4. Not gonna risk it with a hand that weak. You only have to get through one hand, so definitely want to open up a little bit from the small blind if it folds to you. Kelly with a suited king, gonna let it go. She's in relatively early position. She also has the biggest stack at the table in the small blind. Kind of unlikely to give up. Gonna have to do a big size and to get Rex to fold. Chris M with a jack 4 suited. He's gonna let it go. Now Rex in the small blind.
His cards were exposed.
Seems like a very short stack opponent has been placed on his direct left. 76,000 in Miss Luann Yu's stack.
It happens. These cards are hard to work with anyway.
Hoping that the control room will pull up how many players left soon. Rex gets a pretty easy jam. Ace Jack, you know, that's just a jam. You want to just get the money in now, and you have the best hand a lot of the time. And now he crosses over the 2 million chip mark. Rex, massive chip leader. But Paul C, after he got a really big hand with queens into ace king, he's on his heels with just under 1 million. He's also 2 seats to Rex M's left, so gotta be cautious when your Rex can't open every hand too wide. Kelly can definitely open ace queen off suit from under the gun. She's gonna make it 30,000. Very good. 3x with a very strong hand. Doug M slightly playable from the hijack king 10 suited. You're versing an under the gun open from a player who's been pretty tight since you sat down, so I think the king 10 is a pretty disciplined fold by that player. Rex can't do much with a 9-5, even though it looks like he would want to. He wants to win every hand and every chip up to the final table. Luann folds the 9-10 suited. Often behind, but she definitely needs to pick a spot very quickly. She's got 7 hands of freeness before her 71,000 stack is going to be very much in need when it takes the big blind and the big blind ante and the small blind, so she's going to need to pick a jam very soon. Now, John W. been also kind of quiet lately. He's blinded down a little bit. You know, 5,000, 10,000 with a 10,000 big blind ante. That's going to be 25,000 per lap. It can be kind of hard to not whittle down heavily if you're not playing some hands, stealing some blinds. Could be some expensive laps here. Rex gonna open the 10-8 off.
Come on, please.
Possibly after some laughter. He's gonna just limp. He's trying to play as many hands as possible, especially when he's in position. He can just bet when checked to a lot and take hands down pretty easily. Kelly, a pretty good opportunity here. An ace-4 suited. You're versing 2 limbs. There's an extra 20k of dead money plus the 10k big blind ante, but she's gonna just see her check her options, see a flop for free. Which Kelly gets a 4 in one club, but does not flop the best hand as Rex gets one of his 10s. So he's playing a lot of hands. He's also connecting with a lot of hands. And Kelly's gonna just bet. It's hard to make a pair. Also has a backdoor flush draw to fall back on. You don't really expect your opponents to limp hands like 10x, even though Rex is doing it. Kelly gets another card that really shouldn't connect to Rex too much. Rex continues to keep his overpair, and I expect him to just bet here and take it down because that's what he's been able to do. Anytime there's weakness, he's able to bet and win, but this time Kelly's going to continue. King is probably a card that neither opponent likes, but Kelly's been shown that she can make some moves. She looks like she wants to. She reached for chips twice and then thought better of it. Rex has a ton of showdown value. He's going to pretty happily just check it back, show a 10, and 120,000 with just a pair of 10s is a pretty big pickup, as there are players at the table that only have 100,000, 71,000, 177. So to pick up that pot, if you're able to just limp and play good post-flop poker, get the money in when you have the best hand, and slowly chip up your stack and blind your people down, you're gonna cruise very deeply in this tournament. Right now, it looks like the players that were picked for the final table are staying here, or the feature table. The stream is going to go on till 6:40, and at that time, the stream is going to cut off, and players are going to play until the final table is reached, and the stream will continue tomorrow at, I believe, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. to see which players made the final table and how that's going to develop. I'll be back with you. I'm Kyle Fischel. I make poker vlogs on YouTube. I also, play a lot in my own time. So I'll be here commentating with everyone that day as well. Chris is just going to open rip the Queen Jack suited. Rex is going to isolate raise Ace King. I like that. 8s is definitely a hand. You would get a chance to triple up right here. But Kelly wakes up with aces. What a spot. She could get a massive win here. Go super deep with this one. Players look like they can't even believe that she woke up with a hand. We might actually have a 4-way all-in pre on this one. It looks like Kelly has an effective stack of 170k, so she could stack Chris and Leanne and get a full double from Rex. So there's not really very much side pot possibility for Rex because the aces are the hand that he's most dead against. So Leanne's in a great spot. She doesn't even want to look at the table. Oh, the nerves. 548,000 in the middle. 8's definitely live for a quadruple up. Queen Jack, not the best shape right now, but 2 pairs are definitely possible as well as straights. But let's see a run out. What a fun hand deep in a tournament, get a 4-way all in. Daytona Beach, Racing and Card Club, they need to have their team clip this one, put this one on the YouTube independently. 4-way all in a tournament, very deep. 43 players left as my last update from 977. Could be a few less, a few spots closer to the final table.
Everyone knows where they're at, right?
Dealer doing an excellent job managing all the side pots, getting everything in order. Shout out to the dealers that volunteer to manage these streams. It's definitely above and beyond what they're asked to do. from just a normal dealing perspective. So shout out to them. Thank you for your service. And here we go. Rex gets some help. 1 king. Chris needs a 10 for a gut shot. Rex needs 1 more king for a scoop. Spades possibility. Rex has the ace of spades. Only spade on deck. Is he gonna scoop everyone?
Oh my god.
Nope. The jack is going to give the aces the win. So aces get more than a triple up, not fully quadruple up. Knocks out 2 players. Rex gonna pay her off completely though. 2 players are gonna surrender their shorter stack to them. And now Kelly's sitting with a 548k stack.
I looked down thinking, oh my god, they're gonna get beat.
She entered this feature table with 128k. She has almost 5x'd it. What a great result for Kelly.
Oh, I'm back in the game.
Put out your blinds, guys.
Thank you, thank you. I love her, I love her. I love you.
Get my big blind. Remember, you tried to put it out early. No, you tried to put it out
Was that a
early.
scary board for my
I'm gonna try to get the exact player count again so we can keep you all most informed. Now the table only has 5 players. I'm sure they're getting ready to break another table, add players to this feature table,
Yeah, because he goes,
move
"Let me see
forward.
my big blind."
Okay,
He said,
gotcha.
yes, you're right, you're correct.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, there was, you did good though. You did really good. You had a 3 pot.
Back and more.
You did good though. She's a professional.
Very stacking our chips so they bring in and be pushing over. Fold.
Hoping to get an updated total player count here soon.
You just put them to the side for now. Or
Okay, I'm getting told that we are now at 38 players left. The 37th place person would still get $527. After that, 36th place gets 592. So a small pay jump coming up after 2 more eliminations. 38 players left. Yes, I'm trying to get the control room to put up the tournament clock periodically. That would be extremely helpful because they were able to do that a little bit ago. Cheers. But we're moving forward. We're getting very close to the final 3 and 4 tables. Definitely got to be making these players a little bit more excited, nervous, all that. Tournaments get insane the deeper you run, the closer you get to the real money up top. 28,000 for first on a $200 buy-in would be an insane score. But now these players have to play a short deck while we possibly break a table to bring more players. 5-handed and you're versing Rex with 2 million in his stack. That's going to be quite difficult for the players that have survived so far. Now, John W. hasn't played a hand in a while. He's thinking about making a move, but he's going to think better of the ace-6 off. Definitely fine either way. Rex still assembling his chip castle. Gets to just check the 6-3. Both players miss. But Rex with a massive chip advantage can just apply unlimited pressure, and Doug just can't hold on.
all of it. Just give them first place now.
It's like Rex is possibly coloring up, possibly moving tables. See what happens as everyone seemed to have left the table for a minute. Might be coloring up some of the shorter chips as we go to the next blind level.
Me 55 and blue from Rex.
Sounds good. Looks like the players are taking a short break, so if you have any questions for me, I'll be here to answer them. Players have been playing for, I believe they're doing 30-minute levels of each. Oh, it's longer than that. This is day 2. 40-minute levels of each blind level. Gonna come up to another one, and it's gonna make everyone a little bit more shallow. Looks like we're getting some new players to the table, introducing them, getting them situated with the rules and whatnot. Tournament director doing a great job moving things forward. As we've seen several bust outs at this featured table, and the players are replaced rapidly. So tournaments here at Daytona Beach, definitely some of the best in the entire state, if not the nation. Staff here does an amazing job, and not many other places can you turn $200 into 28K. So these would be the tournaments for you if you're a tournament player.
I got you. Right here.
Dealer doing the runouts to up to,
So
This is his extra, Rex.
that's all I see.
Okay, so we are going to a short break while they are coloring up some of the chips and fixing the table. And if you still have any questions, you can talk to me. I will still be here in the chat, reading it. Shout outs to whoever
This is
wants to
500,000.
support and cheer for their friends and family that are trying to get a deep run at some relatively life-changing money. You can get a car with 28,000 pretty happily, 17,000 for second, 13 for third. There's some serious money up top.
I wish your April Fool's Day.
Not bad for a 2 days work.
25 on the color up 500,000 there.
Should I?
Yeah, we can color up.
What about Rex more?
Yeah, let's get. I'll take another. What are the blinds at?
They're gonna be at 7 or 10, 5, 15. Where's Neil?
Next one. Yeah, so this is out of you want to do. You can take 100,000 off that one. Where will the rest of the chips go? Tom's table?
I don't know where he went. He had them in his possession. He's here, Joe.
100,000? Right there. Okay, that's fine.
I don't know
You
where he
need to
went.
color anything else up.
Oh, he's at the cave. So leave everything else, he said?
I just work here.
This is his. What about?
I know about 6 people. In 40 minutes. 6.
Should I do this?
I don't know.
I mean, I would have gotten another 100K.
I don't know why we're not doing the 50s. Why are we only 45?
Well, do I need to color up more? No. Alright.
Time for a short break. Players are getting a bathroom break, a few minutes to reevaluate their play, think about how they want to adjust moving forward with the new blind levels, the table. It's nice to take a walk for a few minutes and step away from it to reevaluate the strategy you're going to use moving forward. As things change, stack levels change, a player's aggression factors and tendencies change. You gotta decide what your moves are going forward, and these players are going to get a few minutes to decide how they want to continue. I assume Rex is going to want to continue to apply max aggression, just limp and play in position and just bet when check 2 to take down as many pots as he can. Players with 200,000 or less probably need to pick their spots to just jam pre. They do have a massive stack at the table that can happily pay them off and is willing to call with hands like ace jack, ace 10, things such as that. So some of the shorter stacks are going to need to take a stand, try to build some chips while they have the opportunity to before everyone else leaves them into a kind of a dicey situation, being a massive short stack by comparison. Right now there's some even short stacks versus one larger stack, so those ones can happily battle and eat each other to try to be able to contest with the deeper players at the table. But we'll see if they choose to go that way. Also, you can just wait for aces and hope to get it in 4 ways. That is a pretty good strategy. If you could just choose aces all the time and get it in, that'll help you build a chip stack to
120 minutes.
begin to mount a deep run, or deeper, as we are down to, I believe, 38 players left was my last update. Down from 977, so lasting over 950 players, or 940 players to get this far. Do not want to go home without the big prize up top.
It takes them. I did good to Rex, that's for damn sure.
What we got here? We got 2 players with less than 100,000.
They're hanging in there, but man.
So what do we got? 6 right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Yep.
I still got 3 open. And just letting you know, we're done in here with the color later, but even adding Frank in, I still have
You're welcome. What do you mean for what? Stop.
Friday played like 14 hours. Saturday played 14 hours.
I'm not greedy. 2K.
You're still with us. We are still on a short break while the players
First place, 10K.
get a moment away from the table, as they've been playing for several hours straight now. We will be back to you shortly with some featured table action deep in this $200 Great American Poker Tour tournament.
Did you take notes?
Again, I'm Kyle Fischel. I have a poker vlog. I'm a poker commentator with Daytona Beach, and I play for a living, so I'll be with you to call the action as well as chat with anyone who has any questions or would just like to shout out their family and friends that they're supporting on this stream.
I'll be back. Give you more money. Thank you.
Are you at 2 million yet? Are you at 2 million yet?
Let's count now. I haven't been counting because the chips go up and down so fast.
Yeah. 1K.
Pretty close. You're the master. See,
1.86. I guess.
1.6.
1.86.
1.86.
Again, for those still with us, we are on a short break. 2 minutes left while the players are on break. 38 players left in this tournament. Looks like we'll be getting back into it very shortly. Thank you for sticking with us. And we have about an hour more of coverage of this featured table. Several players have been eliminated. It's been very exciting. We've seen aces into kings, queens into kings, four-way all-ins. You name it, it's been on the stream. I sound like an old pro now. That's nice. I'm going to shout out Acme Akeem Hayward. Shout out to Akeem Hayward. We're also going to shout out Jimmy Butler.
You've come along too, man.
Shout out to the people who are asking for shouts in the chat. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for commenting.
Started with like 290 on the table.
We're anticipating Rex versus Paul C showdown hand. That's going to be fun, I guess.
I have 160,000. Seat 9 with 115.
Looks like we're getting down to the last minute or so of this break, and we're going to get back into the action. Staff has brought some new players to the table.
Where is the button at?
Here is Reservoir.
38 players left means that we are 2 eliminations from the final 4 tables.
Buttons here.
We're probably going to have a 7 or 6-handed table right now.
Click buttons right here.
All tables will probably be a little bit short until 2 more players bust. Then we'll be able to redistribute them pretty evenly. Looks like right now we have 6 players at this featured table.
I won't be here long.
Yeah, I saw that. Good job.
I got a player coming in. I'm balancing the table.
And as stacks go, we have Rex with just under 2 million. Paul C with 970,000. Fred has 80K. He's got to find a spot quick. Kelly has 535,000. She's relatively comfortable. John W, 160,000. The blinds are massive. They're taking their toll as the laps go by. John W needs to find a spot too. Same thing with Doug M. He's sitting with 115,000. So John, Doug, and Fred definitely need to find a spot very quickly, or they will be the 38th and 37th-ish players out. So good luck to those players. Hope they find a good spot. Hope the cards treat them well and they run well. Looks like we're getting close to the cards being back in the air.
You want it?
Okay. You just want to have your cards when you get them near that box.
Okay.
Thomas can see that your cards are registered. He says, I need your cards, but he's asking you to do is put them there. Okay, you have a cell phone on you? Yeah. He seems to be putting on the, you can access the table. Go ahead. Post it live where you are. Yeah. So, you're all set. Good luck. Thank you.
Start right here. Lines are 10,000 and 15,000 to 15,000.
Floor manager just finalizing a few things, and we are back to cards in the air. Looks like we actually have 7 players at the table. Newly seated looks like Deborah R. She's got 560,000. Very comfortable stack. Doug M. Kind of a either way one. You can jam the 10-9 suited. You only have to get through 2 players, but looks like one of them is going to be Rex, who has just a stack so massive he can call with pretty much any 2 cards. But Rex is going to get out of the way. So many blue chips. I believe they're 25k a piece in his stack. Deb R with 560k is gonna peel with pocket fours. Gonna look to flop a set. Very miserable board for pocket fours. You just assume that your opponent connected with that pretty hard. Doug M gets bottom pair with a gut shot and backdoor flush draw. Good enough for him to rip it. He makes it 70,000. In Deb's spot, it's a very small bet, but there's just almost no chance that your fours are ahead. And even the few times they are, your opponent pretty much always has a queen or an ace, and they're drawing very much live. So we are 38 players left, and right now the payout is $527 for the next two people. After that, it jumps to $592. So a $60 to $70 bump for anyone who's eliminated after the next two players. And we have a chat that says never count Doug M out. Well, we're not. He definitely did a good one with the 9-10. He found a way to get pretty much max value out of that hand. Chipped up a decent amount. He was like 120 before that hand. Now he's 180. That's a pretty good increase. Rex in there with a king jack offsuit on the button. Slam dunk open. I really don't think he's going to limp this one. He makes it 60,000. 4 X's. We're at 10,000, 15,000 with a 15 big blind ante. Deb R has the same hand but a suited variety. Difficult spot is she has to play it out of position against an aggressor who has a massive stack. She has a good seat at the table every other hand except when Rex is on the button. Only time she's going to play him specifically out of position. They both flop a jack, but the board's ace high. Deb's got backdoor diamonds to help her out with. Rex has showdown value, but also can rep all the aces in range. He's gonna bet. He's got enough chips left behind that if it goes the other way, he can happily just absorb some bad beats, but he wants to keep applying pressure to his opponents. Looks like he went almost pot size bet, 125 into a pot that was 150 before the bet. Deb's in here with middle pair and backdoor diamonds, backdoor straight. Wondering if she calls now, is it just going to be a jam turn? She's going to make the call. She gets an 8. That's no help to either player. Deb's probably going to check to the player who has the betting lead. Now Rex has a bunch of showdown value, but is he going to disregard that and just go for the jam max pressure? Get your opponent to fold like ace 5, maybe ace 10 some of the time. Hope your opponent has like a king, queen, king 10 and just gets away from it. Definitely thinking the pot is 400,000 in the middle. That's bigger than some of the opponent's stacks at the table. 2 streets left to bet. Debar has 350k left in her stack. Pot size bet behind. And Rex is going to bet very small, 50k. I don't think there's any other option for Deb besides call here. Raise is kind of just a punt, I would say. So I like the call there. River's a 7. I mean, you don't really expect too many backdoor straights to come in. If your opponent decides to peel with 6-7, that gets there. But besides that, the 7's kind of a blank compared to how the hand has gone out. Now Deb checks to him again. Does Rex think he needs to get an ace to fold? I think he bets if he believes his opponent has a weak ace. and checks if he thinks his opponent just has a jack or a missed queen, king, queen 10 type hand. He has plenty of showdown value, but he is going to check it back, and we're going to see a split pot. Taps the table, says good hand. After seeing that, I'm sure he's going to hope that he would have went for the all-in at any point in the hand and possibly got his opponent to fold. But we're down to 36 players. That means 4 tables of 9. Everyone is now guaranteed $592, slight pay jump. Each elimination getting closer to the final table. And now the pay jumps get a lot quicker. At 34 people, there's a pay jump, 31, 28, 25. Every 2 people is a slight pay jump, so each elimination can matter significantly in terms of your actual return on investment for this tournament. So players might take this in mind a little bit more. Looks like we have a new player, Nick C, in seat 2. He's going to come in with 350,000. Pretty safe stack at 15k big blinds, about a little over 20 bigs. And Akeem H, someone shouted out that person. He is now on the featured table, 770,000. Good luck to that player. This one's going to fold all the way to the small blind. Paul been a little bit quiet as of recent, but he's going to open a queen 9. I'm going to just put a very short stack all in. Fred, not very much options to do with only 65,000 in his stack. He kind of just has to pick a hand and go with it. And he's doing okay, 31% to get a double up. 3 in the window, but a queen behind it. Not great for Mr. Fred. Clubs take away some of his outs. Now he's down to just a few of them, but the pair of queens is going to beat the pair of 3s, and Fred is eliminated. Should bring us down to at least 35 players once he's gone. Good game, Fred. You got blinded down. You definitely need to just pick a hand and go with it. Just unlucky that hand did not work out. Now we get to see Akeem H. Someone was shouting him out earlier. He is now on the featured table for anyone who's in his fans that are watching. Get to see some of him. John W. is going to pass on the pocket 3s. So it's getting closer to where he needs to pick a spot. Players are definitely tightening up after the blind raised. 15,000, 15,000, 10,000. Means 45k per lap. Gonna really whittle these players down. Big blind gets a walk. That would be helpful. Getting a walk could be massive in this game. You get a full lap of safety. Don't need to worry about it for another 9 hands about bleeding some chips. So get plenty of more time to pick your spots a little bit better and navigate. Got 2 individuals in the chat giving some love to Hakeem. Gotta bring it home, Keem. And hold it down, Keem. So you got Brian Goes Vibes and Mr. Scott, who is on your side, sir. And you look down at a Queen 9 suited, kind of early position. Gonna min raise it to 30,000. I like that. Like the open, like the size. See if Rex wants to 3-bet his 7s. He's versing an early position open, so 3-bet would be very aggressive. He's going to just call. He gets to play in position versus the opener with 7s. Paul folds one of his 7s for a set. Not great for Rex. Kelly looks down at a marginal to horrible hand. Same thing with John M. Those cards are not going to get it done so far. But we're going heads up to a flop.
That's 60,000.
Akeem misses. He's going to check. Rex has been pretty happy to bet when checked to and had a lot of success just barreling when this situation has happened. The king being the only relevant overcard to his 7s, and Akeem checked to him, kind of saying he doesn't have one of those, and Rex is just going to bet and take down another 70k, extend his feature table chip lead. Looks like we're down to 34 players left. 34 is the last player to get $592. 33rd gets $672, so nearly an $80 pay jump for anyone who survives the next elimination. So we're going to fold around on this one. We are 38 hands into this featured table. A lot of pressure on these players. There's so much money up top. Deb going to just limp the king-queen offsuit. Gives Kelly the opportunity to limp. John W. finds his spot that he's been waiting for. Versus 2 limps and a big blind Andy. He has a chance to make 60k off just a 130k jam with ace jack offsuit. Very good spot for him. Just take down the money pre if called. He likely has the best hand. In this situation, he definitely does. John W. finds an excellent spot, makes 60k. That is almost 50% increase to his stack. A few more of those, he's right back into it at a battling happy depth. So now we're on to the next hand. Jack 7 under the gun, probably too wide under the gun to be able to play that hand. Rex looks like he's going to put in the limp with 5-4 offsuit. He definitely has the stack to be able to bully people out of hands, so I do not see this as out of character for him. But it's inviting other players to limp. And Paul C has position on him. He plays the 6-3 suited. I think that's one you can just wait for a better spot. But he has position, and he knows that Rex's limping range is extremely wide. Doug can pretty happily call just 5k with the 10 deuce suited. And Akeem kind of has a decision. He can squeeze or he can check his option. He's going to check. I think both options are equally fine. Squeeze only if you're thinking you can bluff players out of the hand. But he chooses to see a free flop. Doesn't connect. Rex gets a pair of 4s, but Doug has a flush draw. He could just check jam here. From Doug's perspective, it's pretty unlikely anyone just limped an ace. Rex specifically, I expect him to open that a lot of the time. So, Rex is kind of saying he has an 8 at best. And you have a flush draw. Doug M's definitely going to go with it. Try to get a weaker pair to fold. And he does. Very good check jam from Mr. Doug M there. Gets 95k to his stack. Still in it, still battling. Still 34 players left. Looking for one more to drop for an $80 pay jump. Again, this is the Great American Poker Tour $200 tournament, so players only bought in for $200, 28,000 up top. There's massive implications to every decision at this table and the other ones that are in circulation right now. Love to see everyone throwing support to their people who are running super deep, friends, family, have some chance for some really substantial money up top. Kelly has an ace-9 suited, and she's going to limp it. John W. with an ace-9 offsuit. He is going to let that one go. Doug M. deciding if he wants to play a jack-6 off. He's going to let it go. Keem with a queen-10 offsuit.
Raise 45,000.
I think this is fine to go either way. I think raise is definitely better. You have a chance of winning the pot right now. Really, you're kind of worried about Nick waking up with a hand. You never really expect Kelly to have something too strong when she limps. So you can kind of just raise and hope to just win the 15 from her, 15 from the big blind, and the 15 big blind ante. So Hakeem raises to 45 to win 45. Very, very reasonable proposition. Fortunately, when he calls, he's playing out of position. So see if Kelly wants to limp call. She does let it go, and Hakeem does a pretty good move with queen-10 offsuit to just win some blinds at ante, which are very valuable this deep in the tournament. 50 big blinds, very healthy stack. We got some people in chat going, Keem, Keem, Keem. They liked that one. Good job, sir. Now we are on to the 41st hand of this stream. Starts out with a 9-3 offsuit, should be tossed. A 10-5 should be tossed. 8-6 probably tossed, but if you're feeling extra frisky, you can raise with it. John W has a hand that should be folded. Cut off with an ace-9 offsuit. Pretty much every option's on the table. You can fold, you can raise, you can jam. Only have to get through 3 players to pick up 45 or 40,000 in dead money. Doug M's gonna choose to raise to the 35,000 versus a raise. I think 8-6 should just be a fold. It's a little too wild to call this one. You do get to play in position, but you'll just have better hands in the future. Keem agrees with me. And hello, Nick wakes up with kings. This is going to be a wild one. Or maybe Doug will just fold to the 3-bet. Yep. Doug opens it up. Kings wakes up with a massive hand, gets a 3-bet. Unfortunately for Doug, he only had to get through 3 players, but one of them woke up with a massive monster, and that's not what you want to see. You would definitely prefer to just take down the blinds and antes and move on, not have to bet away the 35k and get yourself a little bit shorter. But they're not going to wake up with kings every time, Doug. A lot of the time you're going to take that one down and be able to move forward. See some more folds. Players definitely need to tighten it up as every hand has such real money value on the line. But queens is one you just can't fold. You can't limp it. Only one option. Gotta raise. Kelly agrees. She goes a little bit big with it. 50,000. Definitely want to protect it against random, like ace 5 offsuit. Don't really want to verse hands like that. 'Cause there's plenty of money to just win out there with the blinds and A's. But Deborah wakes up with aces. Deb R. I should.
Big blind raises to 100.
And she's versing a larger than normal open. She has to assume her opponent has a very strong hand. Regular opens have been 30, maybe 35, but to raise to 50k and then look down at aces, you're just hoping your opponent has a hand just like they have. You're hoping you're against aces or kings. Min 3 bets it to 100. Like it, you want to get as much money in now as you can. Aces versus queens, but we get a queen high board. We'll see if Deb R can pump the brakes and survive this. Kelly gets the dream board. Deb R not going to continue. Going to try to get value against kings, ace, queen, king, queen, and pocket kings. She's going to continue for $125k. Kelly going to posture, think for a little bit, and rip the whole stack in there. You definitely don't want like ace, king of diamonds to be able to see the flop, see the turn for cheap. Want to charge hands like pocket kings, pocket aces, get all the money in now. The random ace 10 and ace king is going to pay you. Your opponent's already invested 220,000 of their 500 stack, almost half of it. You can happily raise here, and it's going to be extremely tough for Deb R to get away from this. Just a nightmare situation. You get aces, you 3-bet it, your opponent calls, and then flop is generally not horrible for your hand. But your opponent just jams over top your continuation bet. Miserable spot. Your opponent would do this with ace queen. You double block that, but they would do it with it. Maybe they do it with queen king of diamonds. Maybe they do it with queen jack, which you have a lot more outs, like a 7 or running 5-5. You can get some suck outs. Ace is just so strong, and it's hard to get away. Deb R is unable to, and she's gonna get the bad news. And shows one queen and then another one. Gonna see if aces can get some more equity with a diamond or a straight card. They cannot.
Oh my god, I know ace.
And queens is going to give Kelly B the win.
I could have kings too.
It's gonna be close, but it does look like that was an elimination.
I'm not looking. I'm not
Kelly gets a massive boost to her chip stack. She started this feature table with 120,000. She's up to almost $1 million now. Played excellent, gotten the cards when she needed them. Got the money in when she had the best hand. She did also get away from a king-queen on a queen-high board, so able to fade the mines out there as well. She had king-queen on a queen-high board where her opponent had a set, able to get away from it. She is definitely navigating very strongly to this final table.
I'm still gonna probably call it off. I mean, I could picture an ace king shoving in, not seeing a flop, or that's how you would have called it.
And it does appear to be an elimination, and Kelly has a stack that is over $1 million now. Has a very likely chance at a deep run. Oh, maybe not. It does look like Deb R is still there with 100,000 left. 105,000 is what Deb R is left remaining, and so she's not out. She's got a chance. It's easy to spin this up. Just need one double up. Take it one hand at a time. Brush the last one off.
I just think I'm going to get beat. I always think I'm going to get sucked out. I know in my head, but I'm like, I know I get sucked out on.
Be jumping through my skin if I get that.
No, I'm actually hitting it.
Raise, what do you got?
Hakeem finding an ace-5 offsuit. Definitely could open it from the hijack. I think calling / limping is not a very good option, but if you can bet and get everyone to fold and take down the blinds ante, that'd be a great result. Debar's gonna have 7 hands to try to make a move before she has to reach the big blind again after this hand. And looks like Hakeem's gonna get some action from an inferior hand of King Queen suited. Let's play in position with an ace. It's King Queen. Flop is very safe for ace-5. If you were ahead pre-flop, you were definitely still ahead. He's gonna try to get quick closer to showdown. 9, kind of dicey, could be in your opponent's range. Paul sees that Hakeem checked to him on the flop. He's gonna go for a stab. Hakeem says, I did not check the flop to just give up. I'm here to try to get to showdown. And a very safe river card for ace-5. If you were ever ahead on this hand, you're probably still ahead. And Paul's not going to give up. He doesn't want to showdown king high. He knows it's likely no good. He bets 85,000. It's a very value-heavy size. Paul definitely doing a good job telling the story that I have a 7, I have a random 9 that made a full house. Have maybe pocket 5s, pocket 6s, random hands like that. But is Hakeem gonna sniff it out and say, I think that you would just bet random cards and ace high is good, which it is. Good call, sir. Hakeem calls with ace high and is correct. Deep in a tournament. Well done, sir. The table will probably be shocked to see an ace-high call down on 2 streets. And that'll bring his stack up to over 940,000. What a very good call down, sir. The bet was also very good. Both players played that hand very good. Each one somewhat recognizing the situation, knowing both opponents are weak, and we got someone say, oh, that's my dog, Keem, good call. The chat is very happy for you on that one. Congratulations, sir. But we have to move on. Hand 44 of the featured table. Last update was 34 players left. Rex gonna raise the 3-4 offsuit. He said, I haven't played a hand in a while. I have a massive stack. I'm gonna try to steal some blinds here. Not gonna work when Paul wakes up with ace king. He's gonna just call this one. He's gonna play the hand out of position, so I prefer a raise here. You'd rather have the betting lead than have to check to your opponent, who can bet pretty much a very high frequency when checked to. But you're not gonna feel too bad about that when you flop top pair top kicker, especially when you just call and you really shouldn't have ace king. Now your opponent bets, you can just happily call him down, hoping you're versing ace jack, ace 10. But Paul's gonna disagree. Looks like he's thinking about raising this ace high board. He could want to protect against hearts, 5-3. But this time his opponent was just very weak, and he doesn't get any additional value with that raise, but he does protect against all the draws, all the bad turn cards. You know, if he just calls and the turn is the 10 of hearts, now you're kind of in no man's land. Don't really know. Your opponent could have ace 10, your opponent could have hearts, your opponent could have pocket 10s. Like, there's a lot of turn cards where you just really don't know where you're at. So a raise there is probably just as fine. You're probably still getting called by ace jack, ace queen. The top of his range is probably gonna get you a full double up, so might as well raise there.
Tight fold.
Looks like we're gonna fold this one all the way to the button.
Small blind.
After under the gun opens to 15, just limps it with an ace 10. Kelly's gonna look down at a not a very great hand, but it's only 5k because the big blind's 10k, so 5k to win 55. You pretty much need 2 cards with this specific format. And 7-3 gets to see the flop for free. All diamonds, ace high. Only John W has a diamond. Doug's not gonna let them see a card for free if they have a single diamond. He wants to get some value for his ace.
Player in the big blind. Bet.
And John's not gonna try to chase with just the 7. He knows even if it hits, he could just be dead, so not exactly the board you're hoping for, but
Bet board.
I'm sure he's pretty happy he got to see it for free. We have a chat. Hey Nick, the Quinanes are watching. So I assume you have some fans out there, Mr. Nick. They're all watching. Holly Quinane is watching. If I pronounced that wrong, I apologize. You have a lot of hearts for you, Mr. Nick. Good luck.
CT range is 40,000.
And see, it doesn't come any better that you get support in the chat, you wake up with ace queen, easy game, that's all it takes. Show some love for the person you're watching and rooting for. Every time I've done a shout out, that person's woken up with a hand the next hand, so Nick's gonna raise to 40k with ace queen suited. Folds all the way to the small blind, very short stack. Mr. John needs to find a spot. King Jack might be it with 150k. He is going to put it in there. And it's going to be a relatively close flip at 65-35. John's been patient and picked his spots well. This one unlucky, your opponent has a hand. But an ace in the flop is going to be very hard for John to come back from. But he finds a king, so he does gain 4 outs.
Wow.
I got 160,000.
And he gets running kings. John gets a massive runner to suck out against a flop pair of aces. And he's back to 350,000. What a weird run out. Oh, ace queen feels so bad. Just getting in against king jack, flop an ace, feel like he's pretty much dead, and he gets running cards. What a sick return, sick run out. Unfortunately for Mr. Nick. But you do have to win your flips and your all-ins if you're going to go deep in a tournament. It's just part of it. And when it's going well, you can go deep, make a lot of money. So see if these players can continue this. So starting hand 47 of the featured table. Nick wakes up with 8s. He could raise this, try to make it look like he's spewing, even though he has a very reasonable hand. He is going to raise. And Rex has 4s. Deb R has deuces. She's gonna pass. Queen 6, not good enough. Jack 9 suited from the cutoff. Gets an under the gun open. I feel like you can just wait for a better spot. Kelly seems to agree. If it was unopened, you could happily open that Jack 9 suited, but versus an under the gun open, you can just let it go. Doug in the small blind with 10-7. Not a very good hand, but he's getting shorter and shorter with the blinds. Possibly thinking about making a move. Maybe he also thinks that Nick C is spewing after that hand. How many? My last update was 34. I'm hoping that the staff puts it back on the screen pretty quickly. But Nick gets 40k. He gets the blinds and Annie to add to his stack. That'll help him up. Yes, 34 was my last update. I have not heard anything since then. See if I can't get an update for everyone watching.
That's what it sounds like, doesn't it?
So we're gonna get some folds around. Deb R really needs to find a spot. I've seen some players pick their spots and get their double ups. Deb R needs one. King's on the dealer button. I think you just need to min raise this one. You gotta raise, but you're hoping you don't get a walk on this particular hand. Looks like Doug M made it 40,000, I believe. 60,000. He went pretty big with it. Nick has ace deuce. It's like the exact hand you don't want to call with aces, with kings, because kings are just always ace magnets, and it's always the bad aces that crack them. And it might happen again because Nick picks up some clubs. He's got a ton of outs, 40% equity. He might just check jam with this particular flop.
Make it back up to me, Neil.
I think calling would be incorrect,
I call.
but he's going to choose to call.
Yeah, I need a club.
See if he can't turn some equity.
Neil, make it back up to me, man.
Queen is not the best, and now he's
Make
going to
it back up
jam.
to me for that nasty beat. Come on, bro. Make it back up to me, man.
That looks like you just turned a queen, which you did not. Makes the kings, I think, very easy to call. Never really expect opponent to have pocket queens, but ace queen might play this way, so kings can happily call that off.
You would do. You would do.
River is a black jack, but it's not the right black. Kings hold. And Nick C is going to be left with crumbs after this. We're going to get some exact counts real quick to double check everything, as there's a money bubble and some real ICM implications. Don't want to accidentally cost someone a pay jump or even an elimination when they're not eliminated. Does look like Nick C has some crumbs left. He is probably gonna be all in on this next hand, as he has to invest 10k into the small blind already, so he only has 25k left. He kind of has to just jam with any two cards and hope for the best. It's not impossible. Chip in a chair happens in tournaments. You can run it back. It's okay, Nick. Let's go. Doesn't matter what the cards are. You have to get it in here, and hopefully you win. Luckily, with the Annie in play, you can risk 35,000 to win like 45,000, 50,000 with the big blind Annie if the big blind calls. If another player calls, big blind folds, you can win up to 85,000. So you can actually get a full triple up with just one person calling your all in here. barrel. He's gonna pass on the threes. Fortunately for Nick C, John W wakes up with a hand. He's been pretty tight. Ace Queen's definitely gonna be too strong to just limp or call.
Raise 90. And you fold. Fold.
How much, sir?
Picks a very big sizing. Looks like 70, 90,000. Very big. Keem has ace 10 on the button. He recognizes that John O's been very tight and is now doing a huge sizing. Nick C actually picks up one of the best hands he could ever hope for with King Queen of Hearts. Horribly unlucky that he's against ace queen, but he still has 30% chance. Like he said, he's only 35 in the middle to win 100,000, so he's at a full triplet possibility to get right back into it. We got some fingers crossed for you, Mr. Nick. You get some more outs with the 9 or the ace. Hearts. Got some hearts.
There you go.
Thank you.
And the hearts come through. It's only fair, Mr. Nick. John got a gross run out on you. You get one on him. You're not even yet, but you're at least alive, and that's part of it. So, starting the comeback up to 100K. One more, and we're pretty comfortable again. Holly with her fingers crossed. We're there for you, so congratulations on that one. We're at least still in it. Kelly's got a king jack offsuit. She hasn't played. Yeah, she knows she would like to open it, but it's just early. There's a lot of money on the line.
Raise to 60.
Prefer that to be in later position after some folds. Good thing she folded. Akeem wakes up with ace queen of hearts. See which sizing he decides to take with this one. Looks like 60,000. People are picking very big sizings. There is 45 in the middle up for grabs at 15.50. Oh, we're up. It's 20,000 with a 10K small blind. So it's only a 3x open. Very reasonable. The blinds are up. Means Nick C's even more needs to make a move. Same thing with Deb R. They're very short. 20,000 big blind Andy with a 10,000 small blind. 50K a lap, 50K in the middle before the cards are even dealt. Gotta pick a spot. Alright, we're gonna get some folds around. More reasonable folds. Is this the hand Nick's gonna go with? Nope, he's gonna let this one go. Rex has an ace 7.
Call. What's up?
Stacked down to 1.7 million. He had about 2 at one point, but the blinds are up. Everyone's catching up to him. He hasn't played a hand in a while. Seems like a reasonable open. Makes it 65. Big blind decides to defend, so we're going to see a flop heads up. Very safe board for ace high. Ace high, if you were ahead pre-flop, you're still ahead here a lot of the time. Rex could pretty happily c-bet this and likely take it down, but he's going to go for a street of pot control. King better for the pre-flop aggressor. It's possible Paul agrees with that and checks it back again. Now ace high is likely just going to check it down and win, and that is what happens. Not the best board for the big blind defender. It's really tough to rep anything on that board. Like, yes, you have more deuces in range, but with two of them out there, it's hard to credibly rep them. If you had a 9, it's hard to bet the turn when a king hits and your opponent could easily have a king, and then you get to the river. Which is a really difficult spot for the big blind to win with a 10-7, or really any hand without actually connecting. So 20,000, 20,000, 10,000 small blind. 50k in the middle. Doug M with a 450,000 stack. Looks down at a Jack 8 suited. Gonna limp. Invites Rex in there with a 7-8 off. Paul C has a ace 4 suited. Could go for a squeeze, could go for a limp and try to flush over flush someone. Not really looking for an ace with that hand, really just looking for some clubs to punish some of the 2 club weaker limps. But we're gonna go 4 ways. Get a flop where Doug connects the best with second pair. It's been checked to him, he's gonna check it as well. Rex has third pair, he's gonna check it as well. Now with a 3-liner out there, all these hands are kind of dicey. They all have a little bit of showdown value, but none of them are super premium. Suppose anyone who wanted to make a move at it could. Looks like Doug's gonna make an attempt. Check through on the flop, you have a second pair. No one should ever have ace-king. 8-9 is possible, but you have one of the blockers to that, so you feel pretty good about it. Kelly with third pair and a gut shot. She also blocking the 8-9. Gonna try to bink one of her outs. They both have an 8. So it's gonna be a split pot if it goes to showdown. Kelly has the only spade, which may be relevant, but I think a straight's just too strong to not bet here if you're Doug. Just bet and possibly fold to a raise/jam, because then they're kind of saying they have a flush, but they would call with 2 pairs. Maybe like 9-10, pocket 9s, pocket 7s. He's gonna just take a passive route and check, and they're gonna chop up a little bit of dead money. But in this particular circumstance, advantage goes to Doug M because the small blind or the big blind ante is in there from Kelly, and that gets chopped up. So she invested more into the pot than Doug did, and they get a chop, so slightly advantageous for him. Got a chat that says Keem with the special beam cannon. Alright, Keem, they want to see the beam cannon, so show the fans what they're asking for. Doug under the gun with a suited Jack 9. He limped the Jack 8. Well, he's gonna do 2 in a row. Everyone just saw that hand, so he is going to. He might have a boom cannon here with or a beam cannon with King Queen suited. You just saw the hand that Doug was willing to limp, so I think he feels pretty comfortable raising this one up. Now there's 70,000 of relatively dead money in there, and he's betting 125 to get it. No one really has a hand to fight back with, but John W. does. Pocket 10s. He has options. He can jam, he can call, and he can fold. He's facing a limp and a raise. He can just give his opponent credit for a better hand and fold. It is under the gun limp, under the gun +1 raise. But you haven't seen a hand as good as this in a while. You need to make moves to be able to go deep in this tournament. You only have 14 big blinds. You have pocket 10s, but he is going to let it go. I'm sure Akeem's going to be pretty happy with the result of that one when he watches it back. Getting 10s to fold there is pretty phenomenal. Especially got the big blind and a small blind, and a limp. That's going to add. Akeem is over $1 million now. He has made 250,000 since joining the feature table. Playing a solid VPIP of 31. He's playing a very solid feature table so far. Has a chance to make it even deeper in this tournament if he keeps playing this well. And he gets King Queen again, this time with the heart variety. We're currently playing 8-handed, so a lot of players to get through, but he is going to open this one up. Looks like 60,000, 3x. Debar has found her spot. It is an ace with a 7. But she only has 65,000 in her stack, so any ace is probably go time. Versus an open and a jam, ace-jack shrivels a little bit, so you might look at that and just let your opponents battle this one out and wait for the future. Especially when it's off suit. But John W. sees a spot. It might actually be a great spot. He sees the possibility of Akeem folding and him getting go heads up against Deb R. And at that point, he's really not risking a whole lot for a massive pot if Akeem chooses to fold. Akeem definitely needs a count on that one. It's only 280k. It's only 220 more. Pot's 440. Akeem's gonna make the call, so we are 3 ways, 2 players all in. Akeem's got them covered. Possibly see a double knockout, or Akeem and John W. Set for a decent size, about 200,000 side pot. So even the two of them have some significant on the line side action. Board's clean for ace jack so far. Ace of hearts for Deb R, or ace of clubs. Chop opportunities for Deb. Chop for Deb. She gets. Well, I sure hope the dealer realizes that it was a double paired and Deb gets half the pot. But John W is going to feel pretty good winning a decent side pot from Akeem. And yeah, they are going to chop the pot. I only say that because she flipped her hand over. Typically, you leave the hand face up. You wouldn't flip it upside down, put it in the muck if you were if it was a winning hand. But looks like they are chopping it at the table.
No, it was, yeah, that's what she got up with.
Yep, just a little bit of confusion, but we are figuring it out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you didn't get anything from him.
No, for the main chop, 215, get your counted out.
Correct.
Alright, looks like everything is correct now. It can be difficult doing a 3-way all-in with side pots and a lot of action out there, and everyone's really tense, real money on the line, so reasonable to get a little bit confused. But Deb R, she turned 65 into 115 because she gets to the blind money, small blind, big blind ante, plus chopping up a full 65k from Akeem. So great result for her. She's back in it. Still a long way to go, but Queen 9 suited seems reasonable, but she's going to pass on it. Kelly King 4 suited. Knowing that Rex just going to put a lot of pressure on you later. John W. looks down at 6s. You can go either way with it. You can call, you can raise. We've seen the kind of hands Rex is willing to limp, so I like the raise. John W. agrees. He's feeling himself after getting a pretty good hand. Doug M's somewhat in jail with 9s. Too strong to fold, but you're versing a limp and a raise. You really want to 3-bet 9s? I mean, it'd be correct here, but John W's been very tight. He's folded 10s pre. But definitely worthy of a call. And no one connects with that board at all. But John W has the button, the pre-flop aggression, the 3-bet, the best range. He doesn't care that he has pocket 6s and there's 3 overcards. He's going to pretend he has some of that. And it's probably going to work. I don't see Rex making a move here. That is a great... John W picking up a great deal of momentum here. After that hand gets a good bluff through for 130k extra to his stack. That was actually a very good hand from John. Rex had a very good first hour and a half. He's been kind of quiet in the second hour. Paul C as well, been quiet as of recent, but he has definitely a playable hand here. King 10 suited, relatively late position. Only 18% raised pre-flop from Paul C, so should get some credit. Helps when your opponents have 5 deuce and weaker holdings such as that. Keem lets it go. And Nick, he needs to find someone to make a move. But he's not going to choose this one. 8-3. Yeah, that one's... You need something, but that one is just too weak to be the one you go with. But luckily, Nick has 60k, about 2 big blinds. Because he's in the small blind now, he's got 7 hands to find one to get it in with. Deb R, 115k, she needs to find a spot as well. Getting somewhat desperate for these 2 players specifically. We got Michael Reed saying, "Let's go, Keem. Bring it home, son." A lot of support for Keem out there. Good luck, sir. Folds all the way to Keem. He's gonna limp at suited 10. Was that a limp? It was a limp, and then 60,000 jam. For 40,000, honestly, that's just a call. 40,000 to win 120. You need 30% equity. You're just always gonna have it there. But Akeem would rather preserve some of his stack. And I'm sure Nick's very happy with that. He gets a big blind, ante, and a limp. So from a 2 big blind stack, he gains 3 big blinds from that one hand. And now he's back to 120. So very good for Nick on that one. And now we're at the Deb R big blind. She only has 700 or 75k behind after the big blind and the ante, so players are definitely gonna know that. Probably feel the need to open wider, put her in, make a move. Doug has deuces. See if he wants to go with likely a flipping situation. Looks like he's gonna just call, see what develops. Rex, just 10k to call. He's gonna also see what develops. Debar has a hand that's just a slam dunk jam, and she realizes it. King 10 offsuit. Short stacks are surviving. Deuces can call if they want to. It's a little less than a 50-50. There's a lot of counterfeit possibilities for deuces. They actually don't run as good as other pocket pairs. But Deb's gonna get the opportunity for a triple up when both players call. She's very much ahead, very much live. Let's see a flop, dealer.
King. King would be nice.
Deuce in the window. Doug is good.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
He flops pretty much both opponents dead. He doesn't want to slow play, he just wants to jam. Doesn't want spades to get there by his opponent. Maybe random straight draws, but deuces have the King 10 almost dead. Jack, one time. One jack, one time.
Wide dead small.
Not this time. Deuces hold, we get an elimination. And we are one step closer to the final table.
It was a dry spell. The first hour was dry down here. You guys
You were
took
winning
up-
all the money.
You two were. See, 3 and 5 is winning the first hour.
Going super deep in a tournament and flopping a set. I don't think there's anything better than that. Now the table is 7-handed, so blinds are going to be moving a little bit quicker. Players need to play a little bit looser. There's less time to hide. They're going to be coming around for you. Alright, John has the Jack 10 suited. It's in relatively early position, but we're only 7-handed, so it's a little bit better of a spot. He's going to do the 2-handed raise. Makes it, I believe, 45,000. 55 is going to be the actual sizing. Came a suited king, but John's been very tight, and it's really not a hand you want to defend against an open. Queen 4 also, dust, Jack 6 should be released. So far, so that Rex left the table. Paul, see, has pocket 10s. See if he wants to call, if he wants to raise. It's just a call with 10s in the big blind. Jack high board. John is definitely not necessarily feeling good about that board, as there's an ace out there, but he seems to like to bet the ace high boards, knowing that he has the best hand in range. This is just a terrible flop for pocket 10s. 2 overs. One of them is actually a 3-outer from your opponent. He has backdoor clubs too.
Too many overcards, huh?
That's just not the board you want to see when you just flat 10s.
Not enough to call 80.
So I bet too much.
Good catch, Kelly.
I don't know.
You're on hand 60 of the live stream. Tournament feature table, $200 buy-in. The Great American Poker Tour Tournament Series, Spring Big Stack Tournament. First place has 28,000 up top. We're down to under 34 players, so we are currently at least at the $672 pay money bubble. Doug's in early position, ace queen offsuit. Absolutely an open. He chooses what looks like 45,000. Small blind with a queen 7 suited. Gonna be to defend. Paul wants to get into there, play some hands. King 3. Only 25 more to win 130. Not a horrible call, but definitely one that I think you'd rather preserve some chips and fight with a different one. Get a middling connected board. Doug has the ace of hearts, which might be one of the reasons he wants to c-bet. He can rep flushes if a diamond comes. He also has the 9 or the king for straights. So double gutted feels pretty strong in this point. Paul only has the 9 for the straight, but he has backdoor hearts. He doesn't want to just check give up. Turns backdoor hearts, turns a ton of outs. If you're Doug, you've been called. Your opponent's kind of saying he has a jack or a 10. Can realize some equity or try to put a lot of pressure on those hands, get them to fold. It's hard for your opponent to have diamond draws when you have the ace of diamonds. Maybe a second barrel gets a hand like 10 queen to fold, but you also block the queen. Does look like Doug's gonna choose aggression. Looks like 150,000 into 250. And he's just gonna get snap jammed by Paul with a hard draw. And this is a horrible spot for Doug. Doug's in the blender. This is the worst scenario. Your opponent snap jams on you. He's literally saying he has 2 pair at worst. Like, you never really expect him to have a diamond draw. You have the ace of diamonds. You block the queen. You can't really have king queen here. He's basically saying he has a better hand than ace queen, and you know you have to hit to connect. In this particular sense, it's not. There's a ton of ICM pressure. Paul C just gets the turn he wants and then turns up the pressure to 100. Snap puts his opponent in. Says, I don't think you have better than a 1-pair hand, because a 1-pair hand is not feeling great right now. And even when called, my hearts should be live, my straight should be live. Maybe even his queen is live some of the time. Not this time, but ironically his 7 is live, so he just trades it out a little bit. Doug feeling the pressure, seeing that he only has like 300,000 left if he folds. Put 150 in there on the turn. This might be the hand he has to just go with because he somewhat put himself in this position. But the bet on the turn is gonna get absolutely punished by Mr. Paul C. That is some high level play right there. No, the final table will be tomorrow at 2. Right now, this is the feature table. There is, I believe, 33 players left right now. It's just a featured table. but the final table will be tomorrow at 2. But a lot of these players will likely make the final table. There are some deeper stacks. So hopefully the floor will put up the clock and the players left soon here so we can all see the exact numbers. And yeah, Jen Cross says, way to go, Paul C. Nail biter. Agreed. That is a very good move, a very good hand. Definitely impressive move. And that brings his stack up to 1.2 million. He entered the table with about 220,000, so he's up 885,000 since he sat down. It is a tournament, so you're likely gonna keep accumulating chips, but he's done an excellent job of it. And he wants to battle with Doug again. Doug raises to 45,000. He's gonna call, this time in position with Jack 9 of spades.
45.
John W getting a good price, but again, every hand has so much pressure, so much ICM. There's 28,000 up top, and it's only a $200 investment. It's such a massive return on investment. All these players have a chance at it. But John W's gonna make the call with a relatively decent hand, and everyone misses. Sevens remains best. Is Doug gonna just c-bet? He was punished last time he just bet. Paul's made him somewhat slow down based on the previous hands. Now sevens should feel pretty good, truthfully. It's very unlikely someone has an ace. Fortunately, if you bet here, a 10 could just jam in your face again. But Paul says one time was enough. You can have this one.
Alright, watch the video. Table yet. Sure. Not enough.
Would be quite interesting to see if he just got jammed into a second time, if he holds his ground this time or has to let it go a second time.
As long as I can get that, I can
I guess out-wise I had 13.
That's yep. That's exactly what I thought.
I had no more than the cards going for me.
Alright, so now we're coming on to the 62nd hand of this featured table. Still at 20,000, 10,000 with a 20,000 big blind ante. Shortest stack of the table is, looks like Nick with 120k. He's the one that mostly needs to make a move. Rex has 1.6 million. He is the leader right now. He's gonna limp the 9-7 suited. No one else seems to have a playable hand so far. John also not very defendable. And Doug should definitely come in with a raise with this ace jack. It's a nice sight. Rex has had a super loose wild limping range. You can even go like 60, even 75,000 and try to get as much money in now as you can. Or just punish the limp and try to take it down, because there's 40,000 of dead money out there. Chooses 80, so yeah, he picks a big sizing. Gets called though. And that's a pretty good flop for 9-7. A pair and a open-ended is one of the better flops you could hope for. Doug basically saying he doesn't believe you have any of that. Also has his gut shot to fall back on. And Rex is kind of deciding if he wants to put him to the test. He wants him just fold to a jam. Now you have a decent bluff raise candidate. You block the nuts, you have a pair. Your opponent's already shown the ability to fold to jams, but this one isn't a snap jam. You kind of limited the strength of your hand with how long you've thought about it. But if you jam at worst, you have 8 outs twice. if you're called by over pairs or ace 10 at the worst. If your opponent has ace 10, your 9s and 7s are live. Like, you have a lot of outs if you're ever behind here. He's going to just call. He gets to play in position, so can navigate post turn, which is a very bad card for his hand specifically. Doug can easily have ace queen the same way he has ace jack. Can have 10 queen, king queen. Can have 2 clubs that include a queen, like queen jack suited of clubs. But Doug's gonna check. He doesn't want to risk his entire tournament life with just ace high. And Rex has a lot of showdown value, so he doesn't need to bet either. He can just realize his, or he can just get closer to showdown with his value. And we'll see if Doug wants to jam with ace high, because if he checks, he's probably gonna just lose, and he probably knows it.
Nice comment.
He doesn't beat pretty much anything. Any 2 cards 7 and higher have likely found a pair. And he is just gonna 1 c-bet and give up. And the pair of 7s is gonna win a 390,000 chip pot. Rex is definitely back in the driver's seat. Alright, now Rex has pocket 6s. Seeing he's been limping kind of wild. This one, you could pretty much mix between limping and raising if you're going to have a limping strategy. Raising, I think, is better. Gives you a chance to just win it right now, because your opponents don't really have to have anything, and you don't want, like, 10-7 offsuit to get to see a flop for free. Rather just make them fold to a 60k raise. So far the raise is working out. Everyone seems to be folding. Doug M has 3s, could actually get paid by a worse hand here. Got someone in the chat saying Bob Canfield. So we're going to see 6s versus 3s. Doug only has 200k behind. He's going to play out of position as well. 3 overcards to both players' hands. Flop's going to go check check. They both have showdown value. Queen's going to be a good card for both players. Makes it less likely they're versing a top pair. They can actually both feel better about just checking it down, realistically. And that's actually a good card for the 3. You didn't even get another overcard with the river deuce. You can happily just check this down and hope your 3s are good. But unfortunately, it's going to go check check and the 3s are not good. 6s are a little bit higher. And we see Rex slowly chipping up, getting closer to the 2 million chip mark. He crossed it once already. Now he's sitting at 1.9. He's got 2 decent ones in a row.
You're not blind.
Got a dealer change.
You're not even close.
I'm blind. Spacing out there.
He's trying to take the action off himself. Actually. And I don't blame him.
Alright, we get a few folds. Some raggedy hands getting out of the way. Jack 9 offsuit. It's in late position. You're really just using the hand as a bluff if you want to, but I'm getting told now that we are at 21 remaining players. So everyone is guaranteed $1,247. So we're down to the final 3 tables. It looks like 21 players remaining. That is very good news for all these players involved. I'd say Nick, player in seat 2,
Queen, she's been coming, she's hot.
he survived several money jumps. He was pretty slim when there was 34 players left, so congratulations to him getting a bunch of pay jumps. He has a chance to go deeper. He has the best hand with ace deuce versus queen jack.
It's a pleasure.
But a queen in the window, ugh, that's the worst. Drawing to 3 outs once. Queen jack is gonna end his day.
Just the one blind to this hand.
So we are down even further, still at the $1,247 pay level. So every player here has at least 6 times to their $200 buy-in, but they're not giving up. They want to get the 28,000 up top. Again, this is the $200 Great American Poker Tour Big Stack Spring Tournament at Daytona Beach, Florida. I'm your commentator, Kyle Fischel. I am a professional poker player and poker vlogger, YouTube content creator, and apparently poker commentator. I'll be joining you today and tomorrow for the final table. Final table will be a lot of action. These players have been playing fantastic. A lot of interesting spots. There have been 4-way all-ins. There's been coolers. There's been suckouts. Great time. There is 20 players left now. We are at the 776 mark. So, getting closer to the final 2 tables. At 18 apiece, the payout will be $1,496, so almost $1,500. Here we see John W. open the King 10 suited to 60,000. We get Doug. He's got a stack that's pretty happy to just jam here some of the time. The problem is you're often going to have the 30% in this situation. You're going to get, called by ace jack, ace queen, ace king, and you're going to be drawn to just a 10. He's very fortunate right now to have the domination the other way. He gets it through, so he gets a cool 110,000 because of the blinds, antes, and the raise. Give him a 300k stack, and as the pay jumps get bigger, they get to be the hundreds each elimination. Definitely want to hold on as long as possible. Pay jumps are significant this deep in a tournament. 21 players left, started with 977 players. Down to the final 21, survived over 950 players. No one wants to go home now. Thank you for the 71 people out there watching us. We appreciate the support. We can only produce content like this when we have at least some people that would enjoy watching it. So thank you for tuning in with me this whole time. Tomorrow we're going to have the final table, see which players take down literally 5 and, multi-tens of thousands of dollars of score. Be an exciting time. Almost as exciting as picking up King Jack in late position. Versus a limp, Akeem should probably just raise this ace-9 suited. Opponent's probably not limping a super strong hand, and you block aces, you have a suited ace. The button's technically dead because of the elimination, so you only have to get through 2 people as well to pick up 90,000 in chips. He's gonna raise. I think he raised it to 80,000. That is what it looks like. He's gonna get the first 2 players to fold. I mean, it'd be a pretty good result if King Jack just let it go, just take the money. Seems as though Doug has been put into a lot of tough spots today. He's gonna let it go, and Akeem takes down a good pot. Good raise, take down 90,000. Accidentally show the 9. That's not what you want. You want to show the ace. A little smirk. Now we're on the 67th hand of the featured table at this tournament. Now it's important to note that we are playing 7-handed, so players have to open up a little bit. This isn't a full 9-handed table. Getting very close to the final 2 tables, but there is no hiding anymore. The blinds are coming fast, and it's 20,000, 20. It's actually, the blinds are up. 25k big blind, 25k big blind ante, 15k small blind. So it is 65,000 per lap, and we've got some players with almost 100,000 to 200,000 in their stack. They have to make a move. Looks like we got Mike M. Looks to be a new player at the table as they're balancing and redistributing people. Looks down at pocket 9s off 300k. And that's all going in the middle. There's 170 in there already. You can get almost a 35% increase to your stack if they just get folds. If not, 9s are doing pretty good. He gets it through. He gets 120,000 extra. That's a very good result with pocket 9s. Welcome to the table, sir.
2-3 any good?
Depends where they suited.
What's that?
Depends where they suited.
Great move by
It was a good one.
Was a great move. It was a great move.
Alright, next hand coming up. Shuffled up, dealt out. Got some less than accept playable hands. First 2 players pretty easy folds. King not so easy. Somewhat early position. He's gonna just limp this. Doesn't want to raise and get jammed on and have to fold, so he's gonna try to adjust and limp, try to see some flops with a very playable hand post flop. Definitely believe you need to come in for raises and just hope to take down the blinds, and if you get jammed on, you know, just fold, let it happen, but it's better to not let, you know, 3s get to see the flop for free, because they can flop a set sometimes. You'd rather make them pay or just get out of the way. See, 3s can flop a set. And Kelly is looking very good. Rex has a king. He's probably going to bet 1 or multiple streets. Kelly can likely just smooth call him down and get a massive pot, possibly raise river. There's no real draws to be worried about, so I really like a call here. Oh, don't bet him out of the pot, Kelly. You got a set. Well, her raise is going to give Rex the ability to fold. I mean, he's got a horrible king, no kicker even relevant. Doesn't look like he wants to put more chips in the middle.
Take it sucked up. Take it now. Nice.
Weren't really any draws to be worried about, no flush draw.
Not doing that without
You don't really
a
expect him to have 5-6.
Oh yeah, easy.
You just make a king fold, and
I don't want to take any
So-
chances. I'm taking it now.
it's never a bad thing to win a pot, but I think there was a ton more value available with that hand.
I know I could have played that, got more money, but you know.
As long as she's happy, all smiles, she's winning. You know, she's got over 1.2 million, I believe, in her stack, so she's cruising. 1.1 looks like it's the actual count.
Fold. 60,000. Raise 60,000. And a fold. And a fold.
Now Keem's gonna raise the Queen Jack suited, a little bit better than Queen Jack offsuit. A little bit worse position than this one earlier, but he's gonna get folds all the way to the button. Small blind, not a very playable hand. Can't flop a set with 5 deuce offsuit. And 10-8's gonna fold as well, so 65k uncontested, always a positive. We're moving along, moving along. No, looks like Akeem's thinking about making a move. Not sure he knew it was on him. Happens sometimes. Rek's gonna limp some lower connected cards. He's been doing that a few times, but also connecting and being able to get some post-flop action, so he's gonna continue to do that with the 6-4 suited. Kelly with not a very playable hand. John only 15k into a pot of 90. Seems very reasonable to limp. Yeah, pot odds are just too lucrative with the small blind. You should be calling with like almost all your small blinds if it's limped. 10-5, not really a candidate to raise. Pretty happy to take a free board and try to connect in some way. But Jack 9 is going to be the favorite by far, flopping 2 pair. Everyone else not doing great. Rex with bottom pair, he might call 1 bet, but 10-5 is probably not going to continue. Even though they have backdoor straight, backdoor flush, it's just never really going to hit a backdoor like that. And even with bottom pair and a backdoor flush, 6-4 is going to let it go. And John takes 75k. Yep, so anyone who wants to play a tournament in Daytona Beach, Florida, you have the possibility of being on a featured table, even a live stream final table. Extra value, you get to watch all your play of you and your opponents if you make deep runs like that. You won't have to wonder in the future if you played well or not. You can watch it back, learn from your mistakes, get better. Extra value for playing at these properties. Highly recommend playing on any stream that's available. Give you extra knowledge. All things poker. These players, I'm sure, are gonna watch this back, as currently down to apparently 19 players, so 3 tables, all somewhat short. These players will definitely watch the stream back, because at least some of the final table competitors will be on it. They'll be able to study tonight, get some knowledge for tomorrow for the 28,000 up top that they're going to be fighting for. Definitely extra value. Doug has jacks. He's versing a limp. Definitely want to raise this one up. Can't let the big blind in for free. Can't let the limper get to see the pot with just 25k. You need at least 75, 80. Could even go 90 to 95. Rex with a 200k stack, even jamming's on the table. But he's going to preserve half his stack. He's going to make it only Looks like
All in.
Players all in.
100,000. Leaves himself 140 behind. There's several flops where he's probably going to get it in, but he could get some ace and king high flops that are pretty bad. This is going to be a flop where he can just happily jam. Hope his opponent has a 9. Hopefully, happy to get his opponent just fold ace king equities, ace queen. But he gets snap called because it's pair versus pair. It's tough to make a pair in this game. Doug in a very good spot to double up. But Rex does have backdoor straights, which are possible. But hits a 7 instantly. Jacks go up in flames. What a turn card. Jacks get all their money in as a massive favorite and just get turned almost dead. Tournaments can be brutal sometimes. Unfortunate for Doug.
That was gross.
That was so sick.
That was sick.
So sick.
I know, poor guy. I feel bad. That was so gross. That's poker. That's poker.
We're at 19 players supposedly, so if we get down to 18, then they will end the final table for a complete redraw of final 2 tables, which means the feature table will not be streamed anymore. The final 2 tables will play till the final table, which will be streamed tomorrow. Try and catch you all back up with everything that's happened. But we are still going right now. Players are still trying to survive / accumulate, knock out their opponents, all of the above. But this table is now 7-handed. Actually 6-handed. Only 6 players at this table, so they have to widen up a little bit. There's getting less places to hide. And when Paul makes it 65,000 with King 9 suited, Keem calls with King Queen suited, and Rex calls with King 8 suited. Let's see the Case King one-time dealer for funsies. No, but we do get hearts, which means King Queen is way out in front. They had the best hand to begin with, but now they have heart draw as well, which take away some of the outs of the 8 and 9 for the other players. Akeem's probably feeling very comfortable in this spot. He's out of position, but, I mean, when your opponent bets here, you don't really expect him to connect with this board. And even if he did, you have 2 overs and a flush draw. You can raise, you can call. Pretty much folding is the only bad option here. He does choose aggression. I like the raise. It puts your opponent in a miserable spot. You just take it down now. No need to extend things any further. Up over 1 million. Akeem is cruising. So we have another gun, ace 3. Weak wheel ace. It's 6-handed. It's not a bad open, but if you were shorter stacked, it's fine. Just let it go. Wait for a better spot. If you were deep stacked, it's probably fine to play. Really just stack specific as well as who's specifically in the big blind. This hand, I believe Rex is in the big blind, and he's the deepest stack at the table and probably the most liberal to defend. So maybe not the one to open. Queen Jack on the button, definitely good enough to open. Only have to get through 2 people to win 65,000.
Is that half hour?
So like he min raised to 50,000. Rex is gonna 3-bet, just calling him for some shenanigans with the button. This is some street poker. Rex just calling his bluff for a weak open on the button, but King's not gonna go anywhere just yet. Now if you're Rex, you have dust. Are you gonna just tell the story that you have a good hand? Or you just don't have to. Flop 2 pair. Can honestly go for 1 street of pot control and check. You're not worried about anything really. He does, he checks and it goes check check. Not a good card for you. If your opponent makes one of his pairs, he counterfeits you. Now you have to bet. When it's just a random ace and he rivers an ace, he now just beats your flop 2 pair. Bets 150,000. Gets an extremely fortunate flop with a very light and interesting pre-flop 3-bet from the small blind. Rex continues to stay above the 2 million chip mark. Akeem is at the 860,000. Paul C at 900,000. Mike M at 380. Kelly just above 1 million, and John W up 650,000. So no real short stacks at the table anymore. Everyone's kind of solidified. They're all pretty comfortable sitting at over 20 big blinds apiece. I think 380 is the lowest, and that's like 16 big blinds. So everyone's pretty comfortable right now. They have there's plenty of time and plenty of room to play at this point. It's not just jam or fold or limp or hope. There's a lot of stuff that can happen right now at these stack depths. This one's gonna fold all the way to the small blind. 5 deuce of clubs. I think it's fine to actually just limp. It's only 10,000 limp to win 50. You know, your opponent has 25 and 25 in the middle. But you can take the aggressive route, raise, hope your opponent has nothing, and we'll just let it go. This one's probably not going to go this way. As 10-9 suited, it's probably good enough to call, even though 70,000 is kind of a larger sizing based on your smaller stack size. But 10-9 gets to play in position. They're suited, they're connected. It's blind on blind. Your opponent can have a super wide range. Probably fine to just call this one. And now you flop open-ended. There are 2 hearts out there. It's like Paul C is wondering if he wants to do a super aggressive just jam into the small stack, put pressure on, make him fold. Does go check check, and Mike binks the straight. It makes 3 to a flush out there, which is not great. Now he gets bet into. Kind of relegated, just call. You lose to full houses, you lose to flushes. A raise is just letting hands like 5 deuce fold. They're never gonna. You're never really getting called by worse besides like 7-9 and 7-10, but you block that. So I think this is just a pure call with the 9-10 exactly. And pretty much hope to get a safe river card. And check call again.
It's gonna make me spit my coffee out on the dinner break when I go back on the stream.
Mike's gonna jam. He doesn't want like just a single ace of hearts to be able to get there for free. He obviously doesn't know that his opponent has dust, but there's so many bad cards on that river that you're gonna hate, so jam there's probably just as good. Your opponent had like king queen with the king of hearts. Like, you don't want him to just be able to peel there and just suck out on you. If he had like 8-9 with the 8 of hearts, that would be just as gross. Mike increases his stack. He was 380 before that hand. Now he's 610. So very near a double up. Gonna give him plenty of life. He's still the shortest one at the table with 610,000. Looks like Paul's gonna just limp the button. And he's gonna get met with a relative premium six-handed. Queen Jack suited. Looks like it makes it 100,000. 125 is gonna be the bet. The limp, Kelly's gonna be extremely kind and show her hand. I recommend not doing that, but if you're gonna do it, at least it builds your table image. You know, gives you credibility for if you're ever gonna bluff. Makes people feel less willing to make moves against you if you have the ability to raise when they open. If you actually wake up with a premium-ish hand.
Fold. Yeah, I feel like online. Yeah, online's my thing.
What's that you play?
Everywhere, dude. Bottle.
Back in the days, I used to play 18 hours a day. 12 live, 6 on.
Wow.
Every day, bloody.
Putting it on high.
Now we're on hand 76 of this stream. Again, it looks like there are 19 players left now. Hoping to get to the final two tables before the stream ends. And the final table will pick up again tomorrow. Mike wishing he could pick up a decent hand on the button, but 6 deuce is just not going to be it. 8-9 offsuit. Against John specifically, he's been extremely tight. You should probably just raise here and hope to take it down if it's limp to you. But when it's only 10k to call to win the 50k in the middle, it's actually fine to limp too. But player specific, I like a raise here. John may realize that he's been playing super tight. He's going to put up the aggression. If limp to him, he's going to say, nope, I actually have it. I've always had it when I raise, so sometimes I have to just bet when I don't. This is going to be one of those times. Now Kelly's kind of in a weird spot. It's actually a really small raise too. 65k, only 40 to call. Like, it's actually so small that it's probably just a call with 8-9 offsuit. But you're gonna have to play out of position. You're never really gonna know what he has. Kind of a really interesting spot there. That's why you probably have to just raise, so it's kind of easier to decide. He's either going to fold or he's going to raise to a much bigger sizing. It's much more clear that you should get out of the way. This one was left for a lot of ambiguity on what the correct move would be.
I know you're looking at me, I'm like, I'll wait for him.
Always looking at that.
Rex still with the biggest stack, over 2 million. Gonna limp. It's only 6-handed, so it's actually probably a fine limp because it's only got to get through 5 players. It's not a full 8-handed or 9-handed game where 8 opponents are gonna have the ability to wake up with something.
Check and then bet.
I'm sure, whenever. And Rex is gonna limp. He's gonna get rewarded with a jack high board. Flopping top pair. Definitely better. He's gonna bet a little over half pot. Gonna put ace highs in a weird position, especially with the diamond. Akeem can peel, and if a diamond comes, he's gonna feel really good about his hand. He also has backdoor straight draws to a very weird dummy end, but he picks up 0 equity on that turn. Great turn card for Jack 8. But when he checks, Jack 8 also has showdown value, but he probably wants some protection against the diamond draws and straight draws, so he does throw out another bet. Somewhat small, 75,000 into 190. King may be turning his ace of diamonds into a bluff. He's looking to get a diamond and just bluff at it, or just bink the ace.
Ace.
That's going to be the happiest check call card he's ever seen.
Yeah, you can't get there on a river.
But if Rex throws out just a bomb, it's gonna be difficult.
Yeah, bet the turn.
King Queen is now the nuts, and you just turned a pair of aces. But he just knows he has showdown value, and the ace is gonna be good. I'm sure he's disgusted to see that run out. 2 calls with ace 7, river ace. Ugh. That one's gonna hurt. But on that note, it looks like the stream is coming to an end. Thank you for joining us the last 3 hours and 40 minutes. It's been a great time. My name's Kyle Fischel. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. for the final table. We will see how it develops. I appreciate the compliment that I'm like Doug Polk. I admire him a lot. Cheers to the person that says, let's go, Keem. Thank you all for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. for the final table of this tournament. Thank you all.
Oh, it's good. 20.
Because by the time I move everybody from here to the other side and get